a man again. For over a decade, Herbal Virility Max has helped guys just like you put a smile back on their face with improved performance and drive. Call today and ask about our buy one, get one free offer.
800-690-8445. 800-690-8445. 800-690-8445. That's 800-690-8445.
You've been saying you're going to pay better attention to your home's honeydews. Check one off your list right now by calling Gabrude Services to schedule a 12-point inspection of your home's electrical system. The safe rule of thumb is every 5 years for an inspection. If it's been 5 years or more, call Gabrude's now. A qualified technician will provide a thorough inspection of the electrical system to ensure it's safe or alert you to potential problems. At Gabrude's, electrical work is all we do. We are the area's recognized experts for anything electrical, and our number one priority is ensuring your home and family are safe. You've been saying you'll pay better attention to your home. Stop saying it. Make the call to Gabrude's. Talk with a real person and schedule your 12-point inspection today. Gabrude's, locally owned for more than 30 years. Gubruds.
Call the good dudes at Gabruds. Gubruds. Gabruds.com.
The team at Downtown Ford Sacramento wishes you a phenomenal 2026. And what better way to ring in the new year than to treat yourself to a new or pre-owned Ford car or truck? See, the new year means we got to get rid of all these 2025 vehicles to make room for the new 2026 ones. So now's the time to get a crazy deal on a 2025 Ford that is still brand new. And we've got an awesome finance team here, always ready to help you get into the vehicle you want. And look, if you've had your eye on a Ford car or truck, but you're not yet ready to get into a brand new one just yet, odds are we've got a gently used version of that same car or truck right here on site for substantially less. Once you got your Ford, our top-notch service department will keep it running like it's brand new for as long as you own it. With more than 100 years of service to Sacramento, we're Downtown Ford on Howe Avenue next to the How About Arden Shopping Center. DowntownFordSacramento.com.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
The voice of Sacramento sports is back.
Hear Grant Napear every weekday beginning at 3 right here. KSAC 890 AM Olivehurst, K284CM 104.7 FM Sacramento. Hello, Sacramento.
Sacktown.
And welcome in.
Grant Napear.
How you been?
You know this guy.
It's your show.
So happy to hear you on the airwaves.
Time to begin.
2+ decades on the radio with you.
Just the start of an incredible journey.
Now he's back on Fox Sports 104.7 FM and 890 AM.
3 to 6 every day, Fox Sports Sacramento.
The phone number?
916-779-0929.
His name? Grant Napear.
And a happy new year, everybody. My first show of 2026. Not a good new year if you're Pete Carroll. Black Monday in the NFL. We lead today's show talking about the National Football League. A disastrous year for the Raiders. They are on the clock. The number one pick in the NFL draft. Pete Carroll and the Raiders look lost for the entire season. Hard to believe when you think back at this regular season
that in week 1, the Raiders went to Foxborough and beat the Patriots? Huh? How about that? Remember that? Yeah, I know. Seems like never happened. Jonathan Gannon, head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, gone. Arthur Blank, the owner of the Falcons, wasted no time firing Raheem Morris and their general manager. He was the first one to get the slip that he was gone. Kevin Stefanski, out. Head coach of the Cleveland Browns, another disastrous franchise. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. Horrible. The Browns are basically the Sacramento Kings. That's what they are. I'll get to the Kings in a moment. You don't want to miss my comments on them. All right, let's talk NFL playoffs. The game last night, oh my goodness. Back and forth the final couple of minutes. I think Pittsburgh's got a lot of issues coming up this week against the Houston Texans. I can see Pittsburgh not scoring a touchdown in this game, and I mean that. But that was some game last night. What a finish. You know, the regular season this year had some amazing games. They really did. We were treated to some incredible comebacks, some wacky, crazy 2 minutes. But the Steelers get very, very lucky. You know, not that that was a chip shot field goal. I mean, let's not make it sound like it was an extra point. You know, you're playing in frigid weather conditions. You had just seen, you know, the Steelers missed an extra point a moment before. So, you know, it's not like a 44-yard field goal is going to be like automatic and you're thinking, okay, game over. Not in that situation. Not with what's on stake and everything else. Not at all. So I'm going to get to that in a moment. But you got to feel for any kicker that has the season on his foot, in this case, Tyler Loop, and he misses a 44-yard field goal. He was very classy after the game. We'll get to that in a couple of moments. All right, the 49ers. They were manhandled against the Seahawks. They had everything going for them, and they got beat up. The Seahawks dominated the game. The Seahawks now the number 1 seed, as we know. And to make matters worse, if you're looking at this from the 49ers perspective, as they move on to take on Philadelphia in the playoffs coming up on Sunday, another bad injury. They lose another linebacker in Bethune. He's out, done for the playoffs. Every linebacker, I mean, I don't know how they're going to win. And I will talk a lot about this on the show today. How are they going to win? And I really mean that. If Trent Williams is not able to play, and why would I think that a hamstring with a left tackle is going to be fine for a game coming up this week against Philly? I don't see it. I really don't. I don't see it. I'm looking at this team, the 49ers. That is a really tough. This is really hard to rebound from having everything to play for at home, losing that game, and not only losing that game, but getting dominated, to now have to go all the way across the country to take on the defending Super Bowl champs. And listen, the Eagles have been up and down this year. They haven't been some juggernaut. 49ers actually ended up with a better record. It's going to be a very difficult spot for San Francisco. Very difficult spot. As the playoffs are set, and we talk about the games that we're going to focus in on this weekend, but that's going to be a really difficult spot for San Francisco. I can see them being one and done. You know, we just went a couple of days ago from talking about the 49ers playing 2 home games and maybe a third game in their stadium for the Super Bowl to maybe not winning a game at all in the playoffs. You got the Rams and Panthers, Packers and Bears on Saturday, Bills, Jaguars, then it's the 49ers and the Eagles, followed by the Chargers and the Patriots on Sunday night. And then you have the Monday night game with Houston and Pittsburgh. So that is your wild card weekend. We'll talk about it at 916-779-0929. That's 916-779-0929. It took us the entire season, but Rhino and yours truly realized that our big mistake this year on our NFL picks was not having our sons do the picks, as Liam went 3-1, Chase Napear went 3-1. So we end the regular season on a very, very good note. 3-1. Nice job right there. We'll talk more about that in a moment. Again, give me a shout. Give me a text at 916-779-0929. From the 650, I think Jerry Rice will be heckling Eagles fans. You know what? Jerry Rice needs to get his butt off the field and stop it already. You know, the guy's ego is so out of control. It's so freaking ridiculous that it's nauseating. You know, him and Michael Irvin. You know, Michael Irvin is the reason why I'm hoping the Miami Hurricanes get, destroyed in their next game. I'm so tired of seeing Michael Irvin on the sidelines. I really am. I'm so tired of seeing his act. Stop it already, would you please? I mean, it's a joke. It really is. And Jerry Rice, I mean, good Lord. You would think he still plays. The guy's got an ego that is so out of control. You know, he still thinks he's relevant. And listen, we get the fact that he was a great receiver. We get the fact that maybe number one of all time. Nobody's denying that. But the reality is there are a lot of fans that don't even know who Jerry Rice is. Get off the field. Stop it, would you please? I mean, it's embarrassing to me. It really is. Look at me. 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 You know, he's got to run pass routes before the game, dressed up. And, it's a joke. It really is. Get off the field. It's just unbelievable. And Michael Irvin, don't get me started again on that, would you please? It's the new year. I want to stay relatively calm. Please, let me get through at least one day, huh? Well, that's not going to be possible because now I have to talk about the Sacramento Kings. Help me out here, Kings fans. Those of you who remain, help me out with this. The final score of the game last night was Milwaukee 115 and Sacramento 98. The Milwaukee Bucks are a bad team this year. They're not even in the playoffs. They're not even a top 10 team in the East. They played 15-20. Okay? 15-20. They're not a good team. They're not a good team, period. You can't debate that. They're not a good team. The Kings lose 115-98. Okay? They get outscored in the first quarter, outscored in the second quarter, outscore the Bucks by 2 in the third quarter, and get outscored in the fourth quarter. You would have thought, listening to Doug Christie after the game, and then today at practice, that they were playing against the 86 Boston Celtics, okay? And that their 8 minutes of good basketball where they made their comeback is the real Sacramento Kings, not the team that's got 8 wins, who's got the worst point differential by a country mile, okay, in the NBA. You would have thought that the Kings, if you had listened to Doug Christie, and we'll play some of the sound from practice today, it's nauseating. Stop it, would you please? Stop insulting my intelligence. Stop with the nonsense. Stop with the absolute blinders on. Take your blinders off. Good Lord. And we know you've been dealing with injuries. We get that. But don't talk about your 8 minutes of great basketball and make it sound like that's who you are. That's not who you are. You haven't been that the whole year. Healthy or not healthy, you have not been that the whole year. Your team is an embarrassment. You don't know how to coach. You don't know how to substitute, okay? You've got a general manager who I'm going to give 3 full years because that's what he deserves, that so far has not done you any help, okay? The Dennis Schroeder signing, no good, okay? Right? Let's just call that the way it is. I mean, please. Max Reno looks like he's going to be really good. Nate Clifford, jury's still out. Big free agent signing, Giving away Valanciunas for nothing, Okay? Signing Russell Westbrook, as I told you on the first day of the season, made absolutely 0 sense. No sense. 0 sense. And I like watching Westbrook play. I love his professionalism. I'm not going to rip the guy because you can't. You can't. He played 38 minutes last night. 38. That's right. A 37-year-old player who Doug Christie has fallen in love with and has given the keys to the car to Russell Westbrook played 38 minutes last night against a non-playoff team, Milwaukee Bucks, where you lose by 17. That's right. Not 18 minutes, not 28 minutes, 38 minutes. Malik Monk, one of your best players on the team. Did not play. Can't even get into the game. Explain that to me. Malik Monk can't even get onto the floor. Someone explain that to me. Zach LaVine, who had not played in, 2+ weeks, played 36 minutes. 36. Keon Ellis, I know he left the game injury. All right, 5 minutes. Nick Clifford, your first-round pick. Once again, the minutes go down because you got Zach LaVine back, 19 minutes. Nothing makes sense here. You've got a coach who can't coach. I'm sorry, he can't coach. All right, stop it. Stop with the nonsense. Okay, this isn't even debatable anymore. It really isn't. It's really not debatable. He is in so far over his head. He just is. Open up your eyes, would you please? Don't deny it anymore. And don't confuse the fact that everyone loves the guy and he was great with the Kings in the 2000s. We understand that. We acknowledge that. We acknowledge the fact that he loves Sacramento. We acknowledge the fact that he loves the franchise. That's not debatable. That's not up for debate. But we're not evaluating him on whether he loves Sacramento or not. We're evaluating him on the job he's doing, and he's been an utter failure. He's been terrible. It's not debatable. And don't make excuses for him, okay? The fact is that he doesn't know how to coach. His rotations don't make sense. The players that are on the floor don't make sense. Players that are playing well come off the floor. Players that haven't been playing well come on the floor. I'm not in the analytics, but the analytics don't lie. He puts combinations of players on the floor where the analytics just do not add up. It doesn't make sense. Okay? It doesn't make sense. You can't sit there and tell me it makes sense. It doesn't make sense. And then he talks about the 8-minute stretch of basketball like that's the Sacramento Kings. And I got to hear about these 6 ridiculous principles. Really? Seriously, stop it with this nonsense. It's a joke. I mean, it's embarrassing. I mean, there's no other way to say it. It's embarrassing. And he's calling his players on the postgame show last night kids. Really? Kids? The whole thing is embarrassing. They're, from the top down, from Vivek Ranadive and Scott Perry so far has not done a good job. And again, I know he inherited a bad situation, so I got to give the guy 3 years. I got to be fair here. But to this point, I mean, listen, when you're Scott Perry and your biggest 2 moves of the year so far, other than the draft, have been signing Dennis Schroeder and Russell Westbrook, I'm sorry. You know, that doesn't give me a lot of hope for the future, that you think that acquiring Russell Westbrook, who is going to retard the growth of all of your young players, and Malik Monk can't even get on the floor, and Devin Carter. I mean, really, how is Devin Carter not playing? Seriously. I mean, it's a joke. It's an absolute embarrassment. And we talk about this on the postgame show all the time. Jerry Reynolds again last night with Ryan. Flat out saying he does not understand how Malik Monk cannot get on the floor. And Jerry Reynolds on the postgame show, many times, he said, how is it that one of your best players can't get on the floor or doesn't play many minutes? Like, how does that happen? Listen, when Jerry Reynolds says it doesn't make sense to him, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me, and I've told you this from day one. It didn't make sense to me. I mean, it's a joke, and I got to hear Doug Christie raving and ranting about how great the 8 minutes was. Stop it. You lost by 17 freaking points. I can find every team in the NBA from the Washington Wizards to the New Orleans Pelicans to, yes, you, the Sacramento Kings, that throughout the season can have good 6 to 8 to 10-minute stretches periodically. That's not like, you know, a new revelation that, oh, wow, that's the new Sacramento Kings. Oh, we were physical and we made them feel us. And our identity of rebounding the basketball and sprinting up the floor and passing the ball. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. It's a joke. Plain and simple, it's a joke. 916-779-0929. Let's get to a call or two before we get to the break. Ryan What's going on, Ryan? You're on with Grant Napear.
Hey, Grant, we missed you on YouTube last night, bud.
Thank you. Travel night to after the holiday. Go ahead.
No worries. I wanted to talk about what Jerry and Rhino brought up yesterday that has been a concern of mine since they named Doug an assistant coach, quite frankly, and even worse as a head coach, is the fact that he is too much of a player's coach. And I'd go a step further and say, not only is he too much of a player's coach, I'll say he's even worse, which is he's an enabler. He enables players that don't follow his plan, don't follow his strategy of what a team should look like, and allows them to get 30, 40 plus minutes a night. And because of that, we are in the situation that we're in. I can remember, I think it was the 2017, 2018 season, the Kings were terrible. And one of the stations in town had Doug on at the end of the season to give everyone a grade on the roster. He did not give a single player on that roster a grade less than a B+. He had glowing things to say about every one of those guys who had put together an absolutely awful season. And this is a pattern now coming up on 10 years of Doug making it public that he is a player's coach and he enables players to not follow what he's looking for them to do and to not put together a cohesive team unit. And he says the same junk game after game after game and continues to roll out the same game plan the next night. And it's become a major, major problem.
It's embarrassing. He's not an NBA head coach, and it's not all his fault. I mean, it really isn't. So let's first of all acknowledge that. But I said from day one he shouldn't have been the interim head coach. I said after the embarrassing blowout loss at home in the play-in to Dallas that he would be named the head coach, but he shouldn't. He's not a head coach, and it's embarrassing for the franchise. And really, I got to tell you, I feel bad for Doug. He got put in a situation that he wasn't ready for. He's trying to do the best that he can, but he doesn't know how to do it. He just doesn't. And I feel bad for the guy because it's going to tarnish his legacy in Sacramento, and I don't want to see that. He shouldn't have his legacy of what he did in Sacramento tarnished because he's a bad coach, but that's what's going to happen.
Well, I mean, Vivek has a history of that now, right? Bringing back the old-timers, tarnishing their legacy in Sacramento, and letting them out to pasture. But the problem with Doug is allowing guys to continue getting major minutes that aren't following what he's asking them to do. He gets Monk to come into the game. Monk plays hard. Monk brings excitement and brings energy. And then he doesn't play him the next 3 games, and he continues to roll out the same guys who don't do what he wants.
Ryan, thank you very much for the call. Appreciate that. Thank you. Here's one from the 916 from Folsom Mike, who disagrees with almost everything I said, and I appreciate his support and listening to the program. And I'm okay when he disagrees with me. He says, I tend to argue with you for radio purposes, but I got nothing. I want to defend Christie, but I can't. Nothing really makes sense, and it's unwatchable product. True laughingstock of the NBA. They are so bad. They really are. They are really, really so bad. And you know what? It's gotten worse than that. It's embarrassing. Like, it's embarrassing. Like, you can't defend it. You can't defend it. They are so bad. You know what's not bad? DAS Mechanical. They are awesome when it comes to your heating and air needs. And I've talked a lot about homeowners changing their heating and air systems from gas to all electric. Bottom line, it's about getting more energy efficiency, which saves you a lot of money every month on your energy bills. Now, if your current heating and air system is 15 years or older, and you know what, it may be time to consider a change. Call DAS Mechanical first. Nearly all of DAS's work is gas to electric, whole system change out. And Nick and his team, they're specialists in this. They're experts. They also have 0% financing and 24/7 availability if you ever have a heating emergency. They are award-winning, locally owned, family-owned. I'm talking about DAS Mechanical, serving their Sacramento and Placer County neighbors for years. Go online to dasmechanical.org. That's D as in dog, A, S as in Sam, mechanical.org. You can schedule everything online. Check out all of their 5-star reviews and their numerous best of the best awards. They're awesome. That's dasmechanical.org. Your phone calls when we come back, your text messages on a busy Monday. The regular season in the NFL in our rearview mirror. Playoff talk. Kings. Do you agree or disagree with me on the Kings and particularly Doug Christie? I think it's just, I feel bad for the guy. It's just terrible. It really is. This is Fox Sports Sacramento.
Need new tires or brakes? See the experts at Expert Tires. Save big at Expert Tires and Brakes on Auburn Boulevard, Sacramento. Expert Tires and Brakes guarantees fast, guaranteed service at the best prices in the area. Check out their special offers on sets of Ford Bridgestone and Firestone tires. Need new brakes? Expert Tires and Brakes is the place to go. Expert Tires and Brakes, 5810 Auburn Boulevard. The best in tires and brakes.
You've been saying you're going to pay better attention to your home's honeydews. Check one off your list right now by calling Gabrud Services to schedule a 12-point inspection of your home's electrical system. The safe rule of thumb is every 5 years for an inspection. If it's been 5 years or more, call Gabrud's now. A qualified technician will provide a thorough inspection of the electrical system to ensure it's safe or alert you to potential problems. At Gabrud's, electrical work is all we do. We are the area's recognized experts for anything electrical, and our number one priority is ensuring your home and family are safe. You've been saying you'll pay better attention to your home. Stop saying it. Make the call to Gabrud's. Talk with a real person and schedule your 12-point inspection today. Gabrud's, locally owned for more than 30 years. G-U-B-R-U-D-S.
Call the good dudes at Gabrud's. G-U-B-R-U-D-S. Gabrud's.com.
You served behind the desk.
You served in combat.
You did 4 years and got out.
You were drafted.
You gave 20 years.
You gave exactly what your country needed.
You are a veteran.
You are a veteran.
You are a veteran, and you deserve support.
If you're struggling with life after service, don't wait. Reach out.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
If life came with a remote control, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind. Like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
916-779-0929. Let's check in with Pat calling from the other side of the country in New York. Pat, good afternoon. Happy New Year.
Hey, Grant. Happy New Year to you.
Thank you, buddy.
We have a team in New York, too, that has a popular player that's the coach. I think you know who it is. And he's done a horrible job, too. But,
yeah. Yep.
Talking about Aaron Glenn.
Yep. Can you believe the Jets did not have an interception all year? I mean, that's the only team in NFL history that's gone a whole season without an interception. Is that unbelievable or what?
Yes, it's like 1930 or something like that. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, I just wanted to say quick, I know it's not going to be a popular opinion now because we had that classic game last night with Baltimore and Pittsburgh. But for every Baltimore-Pittsburgh in Week 18, you got like 4 crappy games. I mean, I just hate the way the Sunday afternoon plays out. I mean, you're like alienating your core audience, by having like these like games. I mean, sometimes you can't help it, but the NFL scheduling the 2 games on Saturday and the that one game last night, I mean, it almost makes Sunday afternoon like slop, you know? I mean,
Yeah, well,
and,
you get to the end of the problem is you get to the end of the regular season and all the other games for the most part are all meaningless.
yeah, and you got that one extra playoff spot, whereas maybe if you had 1 week less and you had that one less playoff spot, there'd be more suspense on people getting in and getting out. But by the time week 18 comes along, your top 7 teams are pretty much there. It's just a matter of position.
Yeah, good point.
You know,
yeah.
I know. And you even said it yourself a couple weeks ago. You hate to see divisional opponents be scheduled 2 or 3 weeks within each other, and usually that last game is usually the last game of the season. I mean, when I look at the schedule comes out, I mean, when I see the 18th game of the week, I mean, the week 18, I just pretty much blow it off because I know like 9 out of 10 times that game won't be important. I mean, everything's from 1 to 7. It's not. I mean, look at the NFC Central. They had 3 teams battling for the top spot, and by the time week 18 comes, it really didn't mean anything because you have that extra playoff spot. Everybody's getting in, you know. I mean,
Pat, good point.
Even with the yeah.
I hear you.
All right,
take care, Pat. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Someone said from the 916, had a chance at 2 free tickets last night. No, thank you. Rhino, see, we finally learned it took us 18 weeks to let our kids do our picks for us. That was the key. We should have been doing that from day one. We might have been able to brag at each and every week with Liam and Chase going 3-1 on the weekend.
Yeah, it looks like Bennett is going to be moving on from us and finding a way to get their picks. It's all good, Brian.
Oh, my gosh. Incredible. Incredible.
Happy New Year, buddy.
Happy New Year to you. Good job on Friday. Thanks for sitting in this chair and getting us into the new year. So I appreciate that. And we've got the Kings and the NFL. Congratulations to you as being a Seahawks fan. That was a dominating performance on Saturday night in Santa Clara.
Against a team that has been just hit with injuries. It was a game of attrition. They couldn't stop the run. That was the one aspect of the game and one thing Seattle does well. But Grant, Seattle kept that door open for them. I did not think it was a clean game by any means for the Seahawks.
Based on the circumstances, based on being on the road with everything to play for, I would still grade them out at an A. I thought they had an A performance. Do I think it was totally clean? No, but I think you rarely get a totally clean game in a game of that magnitude. You know, you talk about Seattle able to run the ball. Philly's going to run the ball too, and especially without Bethune now. The Niners don't have enough bodies on defense to stop Philadelphia, in my opinion. And I think that, you know, with the combination of Saquon Barkley and with Jalen Hurts' ability to run, I think the Niners got a real tough, tall order coming up on Sunday in Philadelphia.
Yeah, traveling across the country does not help either. You got to hope that you can get them into one of those shootouts, which they've done before. And, you know, Philly will give up big leads. We've seen it plenty of times this season. So I'm not quite ready to give up on the Niners, but I do want to ask you, going back to the Niners and the Seahawks, what were your thoughts coming away from that game about Sam Darnold?
I thought he got a lot of the doubters off his back, meaning that, you know, that hangs around with you and hangs around with you until you do it. And the story with Darnold is, in his limited big games in his NFL career, which really go back to last year because he hasn't had a big game until last year in the NFL, he didn't answer the bell. And he played very poorly for the Vikings, so much so that he's not the quarterback of the Vikings anymore. And he went to Seattle. And I felt that the game this year in L.A. against the Rams, where he had 5 interceptions, was kind of like, okay, it's the same old Sam Darnold.
Mm-hmm.
I think with the fourth quarter and overtime win at home against the Rams a couple of weeks ago on Thursday Night Football, and then what he did on Saturday in Santa Clara, from a confidence perspective, just for him, where he doesn't have to answer those questions anymore, is huge for him, and I think it's huge for the Seahawks. Your thoughts?
I don't know that those questions are fully answered and you can't knock Sam for it because the Seahawks are running the football effectively, right? But they didn't put the game in his hands to a degree. They asked him to make some simple throws. They did not push things, with the exception of the first drive, to asking him to make a big play on a third down per se. But if they're going to run the ball like that and he can complete passes, all good by me.
Yeah. When you say it wasn't a clean game, the part that wasn't clean, I thought the coaching on the first drive of the football game was one of the worst decisions that I've seen this year.
Yeah.
When you are running the ball down the field and you've got first and goal, it is mind-boggling to me why you even contemplate throwing the ball. Now, if it's third down and you're at the 1, I'm okay with throwing the ball. You have the ball at the 1 yard line. If you do 4 quarterback sneaks and you're going to score, why are you throwing the ball in that situation? They get sacked. Now they're at second and goal, but they're outside the 10. And the decision-making there was absolutely horrible. And you give up 3 points in that situation? I mean, seriously, the coaching on that opening drive, I was watching the game and I'm like, yes, you can lose a game on the opening drive. I thought at that point the Seahawks were going to lose the game when the Niners had not even touched the ball yet. That was awful coaching. Awful.
I'm with you in that rivalry because points matter. Sometimes it's a 9-12 game. You have to take those points. And to your point about them getting down to the goal line, they ran the ball to get to the goal line minus that pass interference call. And it just, I guess we can say that Mike McDonald was confident in his defense. He felt the Niners weren't going to be able to move the ball, and he ended up being right. But I would not like to see that continue through the postseason with that decision making.
Coaches try to outsmart themselves. Like they try to get too cute. Why are you getting cute with first and goal at the 1 yard line?
You don't need to.
Just run the ball 4 times. You're not going to get stopped 4 times on the 1. And don't run outside the tackles. Go straight ahead, okay? Straight ahead. Do a quarterback sneak on first down if you want. Hand the ball off, okay? And if you get to a fourth down situation, then you have options. But, I mean, you're not going to get – you are not going to be stopped there at the 1 yard line if you run the ball. It's stupid.
No,
I mean, we saw it in the Super Bowl, but that's a different coaching staff and a different situation that Seattle cost them a Super Bowl against New England. But this is just absurd. I mean, what are you thinking about there?
Why you got to kick a guy when he's down? Come on, man.
Hey, that's crazy.
What about Joe Sheen retaining his job?
I'm not surprised because I think if they were going to fire him, they would have fired him along with Brian Dable, although they probably figured, well, you got to have someone to clean get the dirty work done until you get to the regular season. Joe Shane's done a terrible job at the Giants. I would have personally kept Brian Dable and fired Joe Shane. I think that would have been the better way to go. But the Giants are also a mess right now. They're a big-time mess. And they have a franchise quarterback. I'm very confident in that. But, the Giants don't do anything right. They don't win when they're supposed to win, and they can't lose when you want them to lose. It's the same thing every year. They've had the number 1 pick in the palms of their hand 2 years in a row now, with 2 games left, and have ended up with last year, the 3rd pick, and this year they're going to end up with a 5th pick. So it's unbelievable to me.
Maybe it worked out, though. You got Jackson Dart.
Yeah, but that had nothing to do with your draft selection. You got Jackson Dart because you traded up in the draft. You made a trade to get Jackson Dart.
Good point.
You drafted Abdul Carter with the number 3 pick in the draft last year, and he was very disappointing until the end of the year. He got disciplined twice during the season. He was a disappointment. I'm not saying they don't have hopes for him, but really, he was not the player that they thought he was going to be when they took him 3rd out of Penn State.
Yeah, hopefully he grows up over the offseason, but you got to think Scattaboo and Jackson Dart saved his job.
You would hope, okay? You would hope that. And I think you're right about Joe Shane. I think Dart is the guy that saved this job. I don't think Scattaboo saved this job, but I do think Jackson Dart did for sure. Hey, speaking of jobs, when it comes to real estate, it's an important job. And you want to make sure that you have somebody that, number 1, you can trust. Number 2, has a lot of experience. And number 3, is a specialist when it comes to financing. And that's Spencer at Village Financial Group. And I love talking about Village Financial Group because I've known Spence and I was there when they began their business back in 2000. Now over 25 years when he opened up his family-owned business. Again, if you're going to buy a home, sell a home, okay? Home equity and line of credit, whatever your needs are, Spence is a very creative financing specialist. And keep in mind, he has access to private money. Call or text Spence at 916-805-4868. That's 805-4868. And if you want to check out the just incredible amount of properties available, now over 9,000, go to their website at vfgloans.com. That's vfgloans.com. It makes sense to call Spence at 916-805-4868. Village Financial Group, looking out for your best interest. We'll come back. We'll get to more of your messages, phone calls. Tomorrow, Chuck Cooperstein, the outstanding radio voice of the Dallas Mavericks at 4 o'clock. Sean Salisbury at 5 o'clock. That's coming up on tomorrow's show right here on Fox Sports Sacramento.
The new year is here, a fresh opportunity to tell people about your products and services so they know who to spend their money with. Fox Sports Radio has a Mount Rushmore of sports talk talent. Patrick, Cowherd, Gottlieb, and Sacramento's own Grant Napear, and they have an audience you can take to the bank. This is Fox Sports General Manager Kurt Bagelman. Sports Talk listeners are a unique, target-rich group of consumers. They're employed, they earn six-figure incomes, 2/3 own their own homes, and they listen to the radio longer. Let me repeat that. They listen longer, so your commercial message has more opportunity to be heard. It costs nothing to learn how a good strategy and a great schedule could help your business. So call me, 916-779-0914. 916-779-0914. Radio gets results, and we are here to help. Call 916-779-0914.
Call the good dudes at Gabroods. G-U-B-R-U-D-S.
Homeowners, if you have an electrical project you need done, then you need the good dudes at Gabroods. Family owned and operated for 30 years, Jay Gabrood and his team are the area's recognized experts for everything electrical, from the very basic like repairs, lighting upgrades, and whole house fans, to the biggies, panel replacements, EV stations, and backup generators. Gabroods does it all and does it right the first time. They're actually the guys their competition recommends. Gabroods, expert, 5-star service, and always transparent, honest prices and solutions. Say goodbye to your electrical issues. Visit Gabroods.com or call 24/7 and speak with a real live person. Gabroods, G-U-B-R-U-D-S.
Call the good dudes at Gabroods. G-U-B-R-U-D-S. Gabroods.com.
Sierra Pacific Home and Comfort is all about keeping you comfortable at home. And when your sewer system backs up or the toilet suddenly won't flush, that's not comfortable. Sierra Pacific's expert plumbers are always ready to deal with household plumbing emergencies. We'll come out and solve the problem, no problem. Expert plumbing service anytime at SierraPacificHome.com.
Sierra Pacific Solar Heating and Air, the guys in the big red trucks.
Looking for the perfect spot to watch the game and enjoy amazing food and drinks? Look no further than Fieldhouse American Sports Pub. Family owned and operated, Fieldhouse is passionate about creating a fun, welcoming atmosphere for everyone. Spice things up on Tuesdays with Taco Tuesday. Buy any order of our delicious tacos and get a refreshing margarita for just $6. On Wednesday, Fieldhouse features incredible drink specials. Enjoy $5 well drinks and ice cold pints all day long. Fieldhouse was voted the #1 sports bar in Sacramento. Tons of TVs, a mouth-watering menu, and daily specials. It's the perfect sports bar to catch all the action. Visit us today at 1833 Fulton Avenue. Fieldhouse American Sports Pub, where the food is fantastic, the drinks are flowing, and the good times never stop. Fieldhouse, bring it to the house.
Out here in the middle of all these acres, it can feel like you're the only person on earth. And sometimes that's how it feels when you're going through tough times. Trouble sleeping, your mind racing. So what do? We get help. There are people in our community who are here for us. Sometimes just talking to someone can make all the difference in the world. Find more information at loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
916-779-0929. We've got the 49ers. I want to hear on the text line or on our YouTube channel, Fox Sports Sacramento, if you are a 49ers fan, what is your confidence level going into the game on Sunday? What's your confidence level? Especially if you don't have Williams on the field at left tackle. Now without your linebackers are decimated. I don't understand how Philadelphia is just not going to ram the ball down your throat. I don't like the matchup right now. I think it's a really difficult spot for San Francisco. It's a real difficult spot. It just is. So again, 916-779-0929. We're talking a lot about the Kings. Rhino, I'm just curious, was the crowd apathetic yesterday? I mean, there were a lot of empty seats. It just didn't look like an atmosphere, and particularly in the first half. I know when they went on their run, the fans always get excited. But how would you categorize the crowd at the game yesterday?
I was not there for the first half.
Okay.
But I did speak to somebody that is at every game that I trust, and they said it was one of the more odd crowds of the season. But when the run came around, it was as electric as it usually is. They put it at about 60% capacity to their eye, but you could see it coming across on TV as well. It was just a weird atmosphere.
Well, and here's the other aspect of what we're dealing with. The holidays are now over, and the Kings always get a boost from their holiday games for obvious reasons. I don't have to get into that. I think we know why that would be. And they've got a game tomorrow against the Dallas Mavericks. And then as you look at the schedule, they're at Golden State, and then they have a huge homestand that begins on Sunday against Houston. They go Houston, the Lakers the next night, Mike Brown and the Knicks come in, then Washington, which could end up determining ping pong balls, Portland, Miami, and Toronto before the Kings hit the road. So when you look at January, that homestand, 7 games at home, and the Lakers will always draw because you're going to get a lot of Laker fans in there, plus it's the Lakers. But other than that, I'm telling you, I could see a lot of empty seats in those home games coming up next week.
Very possible, and it's their second biggest stretch at home. The only stretch that's bigger is in March. They have 9 of 10 games at home, and that was what we thought would be a reasonable place for them to catch some traction before the season started. Doug was asked today at practice about this upcoming home stretch.
It's always, love playing at home. Well, we got to define home, though, for ourselves. I think that's one of the biggest things. There was a stretch in the third quarter into the fourth quarter. That's what Golden One Center should look like every night. And we have to get ourselves to that level of play and accountability on a night-to-night basis.
Yeah, they're 5-12 at home. They're 5-12 at home. They have one of the worst home court records in the entire NBA. 5-12 at home. They have the fewest home wins of any team, okay, in the NBA. Indiana's got 5. Washington has 5. Brooklyn has 5. The Kings have 5. Nobody else in the league's got less than that. So home court has been a disaster for the Kings and really has not been good since they moved out of Arco Arena, if you want to really get down to it.
Yeah, very true. But if we look at the percentage of wins at home versus the percentage of wins on the road, that is a trend that has changed slightly.
How so?
Usually they win more on the road than at home. Granted, it's only 8 wins. 5
Oh my
wins
gosh,
at
you're
home.
you're reaching now, my friend. You're really reaching now.
Beavis in the YouTube chat says, I was there. It was weird. The run was normal. Then it was like a surprise when they were down. Or it was a surprise when they were down by 15 again. Wait, no, it wasn't. Yeah.
Well,
go ahead.
yeah. I know Kings fans are going to want their team to lose next week against Washington. Washington right now is 9-25. Sacramento is 8-28, and the Kings have not played the Pelicans yet. They're 8-29. Those are going to be games where, let's just call it, you don't want to win those games. You just don't.
Yeah. Well, if Doug, assuming no other moves are made between now and then, it's going to be up for grabs. It's going to be 50-50 because you're going to see what you saw last night. And, I've kind of come to the point listening to your comments to begin the show about Doug Christie. He has too high of a basketball IQ to be making some of the decisions he's making, like turning back to the guys that can't switch in the last 6 minutes of the game, and then you get blown out. It was almost a carbon copy, and Jerry Reynolds agreed with me on this, of the Celtics game. And that makes me think, or that makes me wonder, is this about getting to and knowing? We all knew coming into the season, Grant, that this was going to be a building year. Scott Perry tried to set those expectations. It's not about wins. It's about the effort that you see on the court. Does Doug get, and to my eye, it looks like he's going to at least have a full year. Are we going to judge Doug based on after the trade deadline versus before the trade deadline? Because it really feels like an edict from above is saying you got to have these guys on the floor. You have to.
115-98, the final. We'll get to some phone calls, 916-779-0929. My Niners defense from the 530. Your defense. So you're saying that your defense is pathetic. My Niners defense is pathetic. Your defense. Okay, I'm glad to know it's your defense from the 530. My Niners defense is pathetic. They had 18 missed tackles, gave up way too many third downs, too many injuries to overcome. They got further than anyone thought, but I think unless they win a shootout like the Bears game, it's one and done. Plus, last time Purdy played in a playoff game in Philly, he got hurt and was out of the game. Well, that has no bearing on this game, whether he got hurt or not. That doesn't mean anything. So, I mean, one doesn't have anything to do with the other. But, yeah, they're down too many bodies. I don't see how they're going to win. I really don't. Let's get to Bill in Citrus Heights. Bill, how are you?
Hey, good to talk to you, sir.
Thank you, Bill. Happy New Year.
I'm just thinking, Happy New Year. My thoughts are the Kings might as well accept their identity for the next couple of years is the Washington Generals. Just want to know who Red Clops is now.
The Washington Generals. Yeah, it's not too far from the truth because there are many nights where they look like the Washington Generals. Wow.
Well, they might as well accept that we're there to see the opposition now instead of the Kings.
I think there's a lot of truth to that based on the fans that I've spoken to. I think there's a lot of people that feel that way, unfortunately. Yeah.
Well, hopefully they can turn it around, 2 years from now. It just doesn't look, I don't see anything.
The only way they're going to turn it around, you want to just call it the way it is? The only way they're going to turn it around is they have to get lucky and get a dynamic player in the draft. And even that probably won't take, even that will probably take a minimum of 2 or 3 years. That's the only way. There is no other way the franchise is going to turn around. There just isn't. I'm sorry. That's the reality.
It's sad to hear. Yes, it is. So, hey, except we're the Washington Generals. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Boy, how about that? Washington Generals reference to the Kings. There have been games this year where they have looked like the Washington Generals. I wonder what Malik Monk's thinking these days. How does Malik Monk go from being one of the best players on the team, a guy that the fans love, who loves the community, and now all of a sudden he doesn't play when Russell Westbrook plays 38 minutes? How is it that in a year in which you are the worst team in the league, because I think they are the worst team in the league, you can't get Devin Carter on the floor and find out whether he can play or not and give him a 20 to a 25 game run. How come that can't happen? But you got Russell Westbrook, who's 37, who's not part of your future, who will not be on the team, who played 38 minutes. Oh, by the way, not only did he play 38 minutes, he was 5 of 16 and 1 of 8 from 3. Okay? And here's the other thing about Russ. Let's just call it the way it is. He hasn't played well in a while. And he's playing 38 minutes. Would someone please explain to me how Russell Westbrook is playing so many minutes, night in, night out, in a year where wins this year don't mean anything, losses mean more than wins. You're trying to develop the young players. Achua playing 15 minutes, right? Nick Clifford only played 19. Max Reynaud played 24. Malik's young. He can't get on the floor. Devin Carter was your first-round draft pick a year ago. He can't play. You don't even know if you wouldn't even know Devin Carter's on the team. But that no problem. We got Russell Westbrook. No problem. No problem. We don't need to play Carter. Don't worry about Neek. Don't worry about Keon. We got Russell Westbrook. It's unbelievable to me. Grant, I think however old you are is how many minutes you get. I love that. That's great. Incredible. That's spot on. Seriously, though.
I'll throw a theory at you. He's passing a lot of records and breaking some records in a Kings uniform.
Whoop-de-doo on my Subaru. That's great.
Whoop-de-doo on my Subaru?
Yeah. I mean, because I used to drive a Subaru and whoop-de-doo. So, like, big deal. Who cares? I mean, really. I mean, who cares?
Okay.
Seriously, who cares?
Grant, when you have an owner that likes notoriety, he likes being around celebrities, it's a feasible hypothesis.
And that's why your franchise is the laughingstock of the league and one of the laughingstocks of the entire world of sports in America because of what you just said. And you're 100% correct. You're 100% correct. From the 209, I'll be honest, Grant, I haven't watched the game since November. I just watched your post-game shows. Why waste my time when it's the same thing over and over again? What an embarrassment for us Kings fans. We need a change ASAP. Yep. By the way, there's been a lot of speculation about Vivek not being at the games the last several games. He generally goes on holiday during this period of time. This is not anything that is abnormal. He's normally on vacation, if I can use that term. He's normally abroad somewhere during the holidays. So I wouldn't read too much into that. I really wouldn't. Again, 916-779-0929. Don't forget Grant's Rant coming up at 5. Tomorrow, Chuck Cooperstein, the outstanding voice of the Dallas Mavericks at 4 o'clock. Kings and Mavs tomorrow night. That is another awful 8 o'clock start. And then, of course, the Kings and the Mavs tomorrow. But we also have Sean Salisbury talking college and the NFL. So we've got all of that coming up on the show tomorrow. I'm going to be on tonight at 7 o'clock over on YouTube for my Open Forum Monday. No Monday Night Football, so I hope you can join me for that. That's at 7 o'clock tonight. 1 hour down, 2 hours left. This is Grant Napear. So good to have you on board here on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Need new tires or brakes? See the experts at Expert Tires. Save big at Expert Tires and Brakes on Auburn Boulevard, Sacramento. Expert Tires and Brakes guarantees fast, guaranteed service at the best prices in the area. Check out their special offers on sets of Ford Bridgestone and Firestone tires. Need new brakes? Expert Tires and Brakes is the place to go. Expert Tires and Brakes, 5810 Auburn Boulevard. The best in tires and brakes.
Are your lights flickering more than a disco ball? Tired of your office coffee maker and server room fighting over that one working outlet? Call the pros who keep the juice flowing. Elite Power Inc. Elite Power Inc. is the commercial and industrial electrical contractor who takes your power and lighting seriously so you don't have to. Elite Power Inc. handles everything from rewiring ancient office buildings to installing cutting-edge control panels in factories. Their IBEW 340 electricians have more certifications than your printer has error messages. And they promise not to judge your breaker panel's creative labeling. Get plugged in with Elite Power Inc., where sparks fly, but only in a good way. Professionally trained technicians, 24-hour electrical service, maintenance, and repair. Project estimating, the knowledge and skill for any commercial or industrial need. Call 916-739-1580. That's 916-739-1580, or go to elitepower.com.
Listen up, guys. Are you experiencing any of the following? Fatigue, less drive, poor performance? If so, you may be one of the nearly 30 million men in the U.S. today dealing with ED. But did you know you don't have to pay hundreds for a prescription anymore? And you don't have to deal with the hassle of seeing the doctor or the embarrassment of going to the pharmacy for a certain pill. Now, with one free call, you can find out how Herbal Virility Max can help you feel like a man again. For over a decade, Herbal Virility Max has helped guys just like you put a smile back on their face with improved performance and drive. Call today and ask about our buy one, get one free offer.
800-690-8445. 800-690-8445. 800-690-8445. That's 800-690-8445.
As veterans, we're no strangers to helping others.
That's what we were taught, service before self.
But we do have one question for the veterans listening.
When was the last time you reached out for help?
If you or someone you know needs resources, whether it's for stress, finances, employment, or mental health, don't wait. Reach out.
Find more information at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Tell your friends. Grant's back. Grant Napear is back on the Sacramento airwaves right here. KSAC 890 AM Olivehurst. K284CM 104.7 FM Sacramento.
Hour 2, we talk NFL playoffs this segment with Denver and Seattle. Raise your hand, by the way, if you had the Seahawks and the Broncos as the number one seeds in their respective conferences back on Labor Day weekend. But the way it works is those teams will end up playing the lowest remaining seed after this weekend. If I'm going to tell you that there will be an upset in both conferences this weekend, would you say it would be 5 against 4, which I think so? I think the Rams will beat Carolina. Do you think it will be 6 against 3, the 49ers and the Eagles? By the way, the Eagles could have been the number 2 seed, but they decided to rest their players, and they lost to Washington. And Nick Sirianni, he was fine with that. So instead of being the 2 seed and playing Green Bay, they're the 3 seed and playing San Francisco. The Packers, I could see going and winning at Chicago. Bears did not end the season on a good note, but the Packers were worse. You know, without Micah Parsons, I just wonder about the inexperience of the Bears in the postseason. But if the Packers were to win, then that would set up Green Bay at Seattle in week 2. So, I could see Carolina losing at home. I mean, the Rams should beat Carolina. They really should. And I could see the Packers beating the Bears. I am not necessarily saying that's who I'm picking today on Monday, but I could see that. I think the Niners are going to have a very difficult time winning against Philadelphia based on what happened on Saturday. Meanwhile, in the AFC, you have Houston at Pittsburgh a week from tonight. I think Houston's going to win that game. You have Buffalo at Jacksonville, a 6 versus a 3. And then you have the Chargers 7th at New England 2. Now, I don't see the Chargers winning that game. I just don't, for a variety of reasons. But, you know, Jim Harbaugh, playoffs, Mike Vrabel, Drake May, what a season they had. Maybe the MVP in May. I don't see that. I think New England will win. You know, the Buffalo-Jacksonville game to me is very intriguing. That is a very intriguing game. Trevor Lawrence, playoffs. Liam Cohen has done a tremendous job at the Jaguars. They're playing very well. I mean, they should win. They're a better team than Buffalo. They had a better year. But again, we get the unknown, and we got Josh Allen, 6 versus the 3. And then I think Houston will beat Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh's going to have a difficult time moving the ball. I think they're going to have a hard time scoring on offense. I think the only way Pittsburgh wins this game is if their defense scores. So could I see a scenario where Houston is at Denver the following week? Yeah, I absolutely could. And I got to tell you, I don't think that's a good recipe for Denver. Their offense is not very good to begin with. That would be a low-scoring game. 2 really good defenses, but Houston's defense is better. You know, I could see Denver scoring less than 10 points in a game like that. You know, I don't know about the Houston offense. That could be a very, that you want to talk about first downs in that game being important. That's exactly what it would be. What do I think on the text line of the Eagles resting their players and missing out of the 2 seed? That's a coach's and an organizational decision. I mean, is there a really huge difference between 2 and 3? It is if the number 2 seed were to win this week, then you're on the road the following game. That's the difference. Do I think that's that big of a deal for Philly? No, I don't. So in this instance, probably not huge. In this particular instance, probably not huge. Am I overvaluing that? Am I overlooking that? Could I see Philadelphia being at Chicago this week instead of Chicago being at Philly? And do I think that would change the fortunes of that game around? Probably. But Philly's been there. They've got the championship pedigree. They got a quarterback that plays well in big games. They can run the ball. Probably not huge. I think it's more important for Chicago if they're able to beat Green Bay. It would be a lot more important for them to be at home than for Philadelphia to be at home. So to answer that question, rest is really important this time of the year, and they've got their starters an extra week. Whereas that did not happen for the Bears. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. All right, NBA trade rumors around Atlanta and Trae Young. Just for the record, I would not want Trae Young if I'm the Sacramento Kings. That's not a guy I want to build my team around. I think that it's obvious what's going on in Atlanta. And it's very interesting as we now hit January, which means we're up now on the window of NBA trade season. 10-day contracts can be signed starting today if you have a roster spot available. There is going to be movement, and there's a lot of talk around the NBA, especially with the Kings. How active will they be, and do they have players that are sought after by other teams, right? So again, we talk about Trae Young first and foremost, because that news really, with the trade deadline at February 5th at noon our time. So keep that in mind. February 5th, noon Pacific. Who is going to be on the move? Who is going to be staying? And the report coming out today that the Hawks and Aaron Mintz, the agent for Trae Young, are working with the team on a deal. So it's been pretty much confirmed, all right, that they want a resolution to this and that Trae Young will be on the move. Ryan, I'm going to ask you point blank. I am not a Trae Young fan. I think he's a tremendous individual talent. I don't think he makes anyone on his team better. I think the Hawks are better off without Young, and that's why I think they're going to facilitate a deal. He's supremely talented, but he's not a guy to me that's the guy that you want to build a team around. Your thoughts?
He doesn't strike me as the six principles, and I mean that no disrespect to Trae Young. He's explosive from beyond the three-point line. He's taken a team to the Eastern Conference Finals, but to me it feels like a player that would fit into the problem more than the solution right now because of the style of his game. You know, Grant, Zach LaVine has been rumored also in a lot of trade talks, and one of which is the Milwaukee Bucks. Evan Sidery came out today and reported that there have been preliminary talks between the Bucks and the Kings that surround Bobby Portis and also Kyle Kuzma, but the Kings really want a 2031 first-round pick from the Bucks. And I'm thinking, man, you're getting greedy. That's a hard contract to trade. What are your thoughts on a move like that?
My thoughts are, why would Milwaukee want Zach LaVine? That's my first thought.
They have a negative net rating. They are trying to convince Giannis not to move, and they're trying to go all in.
Well, and that's not demeaning Zach LaVine when I make that comment.
Yeah.
Look, I'm looking at this from Milwaukee's perspective. They're 6-20. Okay. They're in 11th place in the West. Like, you add Zach LaVine to that roster and take off, who'd you say, Portis
and Kuzma.
And Kuzma, and you think you're going to be better? Like, that all of a sudden moves the needle? Like, why does Milwaukee make that deal? Now, do I think that LaVine in Milwaukee would be a really good fit? Yeah, I do when I look at their personnel. Because what does he do? I mean, he's a scorer. He's a shooter. So, yes, I do. But to me, this is already a lost season for the Bucks. Like, they're not going to be there in April. They're not going to contend with the teams at the top of the division or in the conference, in my opinion. And you're right. First of all, help me out here. It's the new year, correct?
Yes.
It's 2026. I'm going to be waiting on a first round pick in 2031. Like, what's that going to do for me?
Well, I
like,
think
Scott Perry's not going to be here in 2031. There's probably one or two players on the roster right now, maybe three at the most, that will be here in 2031. That doesn't I'm not going after a 2031 pick.
The Kings, my thought would be you're working under the assumption that Giannis is not going to be there long term. So maybe that pick will be something. And a lot was made. Jerry and I got a ton of questions about it after the game. I was getting it before the game. The timing of Zach LaVine's return last night, he was asked straight up after the game.
Yeah, I think it's a...
Excuse me, Zach LaVine. We'll get to Jerry in a second.
Zach, was this always the target date to come back?
No, I was just waiting on whatever day my ankle felt the best. I think you guys saw me out there shooting for the last week. So, yeah, it was sometime this week. I was just ready to go.
Is it kind of a coincidence that there's a lot of trade talks of possibly being traded in Milwaukee, and you guys play Milwaukee tonight?
I think there's been trade talks with a lot of teams. I don't think I worry about that. I think that's your guys' job to try to put some storylines out there. So.
That's hard to hear. Can you recap what was said there?
Yeah, just the reporter said, was there any coincidence with your return tonight and playing the Bucks? He said absolutely not, and he followed up with a question about trade talks between the Bucks and the Kings, and Zach said, that's your job to worry about trade talks and put something out there. There's a lot of trade talks that go on, but we get this question all the time on postgame. What are the Kings trying to feature a player? Is this what it is? And so Jerry was asked last night about Zach LaVine and the Bucks.
Yeah, I think it's a fair chance that's true. I think the Bucks are the team that is shown supposedly the most interest. Those are things we can't know for sure, but she certainly showed he was healthy. I thought he played pretty well. I thought he gave a better effort on defense than we've seen for most of the year. Now it was in more limited minutes. So, yeah, I think if you're the Bucks, if you're interested, you know that he's physically ready to go. And so now what the Kings will do going forward, if he'll put him back in the starting lineup or bring him off the bench, I don't know.
So if you're Milwaukee, did you really need to see Zach LaVine play last night other than just to know that he's healthy? I mean, you already know what he can do, right? So would that have been the only reason? Hey, guy played 35 minutes, so obviously he's good. If we want to make a move, he's good to go. I mean, it's not like they learned anything about Zach LaVine last night other than a health issue.
I think that's part of it. I also believe they want to see in person that explosion. They want to see his movement because it's not just coming back from the ankle. He's been injury ridden a lot of his career, which he hasn't, knock on wood, for the most part here in Sacramento. And coming off the bench playing 35 minutes, he looked good and he was putting some effort in defensively. Now, a lot of that could be he's rested. He's not been in the game, but how often do we hear that being out, a day takes so much conditioning away from you during an NBA season? So for him to be able to play those minutes, or the reason he played those minutes, who knows?
You know what's sad about what you just said? And what's sad about what Jerry just said on the show last night is that we have to compliment a player for effort on defense. You know how sad that is?
Yeah, it's a sad but great point.
Man. By the way, PJ Washington has an ankle sprain. He's doubtful for the game tomorrow night, and Keegan Murray is not going to play.
No.
All right. So he's out. I don't know when he'll come back, but he's not going to be on the court tomorrow. That is for sure. From the 916, I agree with you guys on Trae Young. Sadly, he fits the mold that Vivek likes. I just have a bad feeling. I don't see the Kings trading for Trae Young. I really don't. I don't see that happening. I know that there are some that have discussed Trae Young. I think CBSSports.com had a story that they feel that Trae Young might end up in Sacramento. I don't. But then again, things that don't make sense normally happen in Sacramento. So it doesn't make sense to me. So maybe I ought to move it up to the front of my list of happening. That's what you need here. Go get another guard, and see. That'd be great.
It's not so much about the guard.
I know. I'm being cynical.
I know you are. It's just, it's frustrating. But as for the deadline, because we're coming up to it, what are your expectations? Give us a call, 916-779-0929. Do you expect massive moves? Do you expect no moves? We asked Jerry last night about his expectations headed into the deadline.
That is the tough part, because you can't force the other teams to trade with you, and you can't force them to give you what you want. I'm not probably as optimistic as a lot of people, because with contracts and when you look at teams, that may be interested in some of the guys, well, they have cap problems too, which means they can't take the guy you're maybe thinking about trading unless they give you somebody back. And would it be somebody you want? We've talked about this many times. My only concern is, whatever you do, make sure you're trading. If you can't get picks, get young players with promise. They may not have quite achieved where they're going to be, but that to me, that's another way you get better. And I mean, I think you look at some of the teams that have done it right over the years, and and certainly Oklahoma City and some teams like that, where they picked up the Dorts and Isaiah Joes and guys like that, guys that were there for the taking, and they were wise enough to realize that they were a good chance of getting better.
Yeah.
Well, I think those are very interesting comments. And I'll tell you something else. I think something that we do need to start discussing as we're in 2026 now is who's going to be the next coach of the Kings. There's no way Doug Christie is going to be the coach of this team next year. I'm sorry. There's just no way. And whoever is named the next head coach has to be someone with a lot of experience in going through rebuilds with a transitional team. Okay. You need to have a coach that's been there and done that, and that has done a very good job with that has a track record of going through that. And so to me, that is imperative when you talk about acquiring draft picks, trades, being things of that nature. Who's going to be your next coach? Because there's just no way in the world you can start the season next year with Doug as your coach. You just can't.
I'm not ready to have that conversation.
But you better.
I just, because of the way this franchise is, Grant, Doug's on a cheap contract, number one. I think the big point of what he's trying to say, and this might be his indirect way of trying to get through to the veterans, is when the Kings have those stretches, that's like what he wants from them. But the veterans aren't capable at this point in their careers.
Well, first of all,
doing
every
that,
team in the league has good stretches.
Okay.
Even the worst teams in the league have good stretches. Good stretches don't mean anything to me. They don't mean nothing to me because they're few and far between.
Doug Christie's biggest mistake this season was centering his plan for this team around that style of basketball, because it's not feasible with that group.
No, it's
not.
No, it's not. You're right.
So,
and we've been talking about that from day one.
100%. So I wonder if there is a group, i.e. the younger group, that gets more minutes the second half of the season. They might not win, but you might see better entertaining basketball. And if that rolls into the next season with another young player coming, because Grant, you can't deny that Doug's good with player development. He is. He has been historically. I'm not going to write him off as the coach.
How's he good
year.
with player development? You get into that because basically the assistant coaches are the ones that work with the players most of the time, not the head coach. So help me out with this. How is he good with player development? How's he good? Has he been good with Keon Ellis and coaching him? Has that been good player development? Like, how is Doug Christie good with player development? Have you seen any improvement in Nick Clifford this year? How's he good in player development? Help me out with this.
I'm pointing directly to when he was fourth on the bench and he was Domantas Sabonis's player development coach. Did a pretty good job.
Domantas Sabonis was a two-time All-Star before he came to Sacramento.
And he also needed to work a three-point ball into his game. And he also needed to work a mid-range game in. The three-point got worked in last season. He hasn't played enough this year to know about the mid-range.
Again, I think it is time to start talking about who's going to be the next head coach of this team, because I think it is so important because of the transitional phase that the team is in. They better get somebody in here that has been through this, has done it, has proven they can do it, and is an experienced coach. They better get that done. By the way, I want to just add this from the 916. Doug's post-game comments have been awkward, confusing players' minutes, yet we get the motivational speech about the Sacramento Kings standards. These standards, to me, are laughable and have become embarrassing for this reason. And this is not the first time I've talked about this. Every team in the league has standards. They don't broadcast them and put them out as an edict on their board for everyone to see. You don't think the Miami Heat have the same exact standards that Scott Perry wants? You don't think that other organizations, almost all of them, have standards that they want to accomplish? They all do. I mean, this is like these 6 principles that Scott Perry hangs his hat on. You don't think that every team in the league has similar principles? They just don't harp on it time and time again. This is not like, I mean, it bothers me. This is just a messed up organization. Everything is done backwards here. Just do it. Stop talking. Just do it.
You're right.
All right? Stop talking all the time.
You're right. They're unsaid. They don't have to be said.
Correct.
Yeah.
They don't have to be said. I mean, don't most successful organizations, forget about sports, have core principles that employees are expected to follow? And they're not broadcast out over the airwaves and put in, social media platforms or this or that. First of all, isn't a lot of this, forgive me for saying this, common sense? Isn't like when you go to work for a company, don't you have core values that you probably are going to follow anyway? Maybe it's not 100% uniform, but in sport, for instance, I'm a big hockey fan. You know that, okay?
Yeah.
Every single one of those principles is in every room in the National Hockey League. It's in every player's mind when they walk into a building and lace their skates up and get out on the ice. They don't talk about it. It's a known quantity. Every player understands it. It is a culture. It is in every room in the National Hockey League. All of those principles. They don't broadcast them. They don't keep on talking about, well, this is a New York Ranger. This is a Vegas Golden Knight. This is a Chicago Blackhawk. This is a San Jose Shark. It's just, I feel like we're going back to grade school here. I really do. Or junior college or high school. And this is the pros. Okay. We're talking about, this is what you do for a living. This is your occupation. This is your freaking job. And I'm spending time listening to a coach talk about the 6 core principles from time to time. Stop it already, would you please?
You nailed it, because 5 of the principles are already assumed under the first: professionalism.
Thank you. Thank you. Spot on. You know what else is spot on? And it's a company that I enjoy talking about in DAS Mechanical when it comes to your heating and air needs. Because after meeting with their owner, Nick Delancey, and learning about their business model and going on their website and reading all of their 5-star reviews and their numerous Best of the Best awards, after talking with Nick Delancey, I get it. I understand, because they do things so well. They are specialists, okay? They are specialists in HVAC retrofitting and service. And speaking of service, listen, we're now are in the colder months of the year. If you have a heating emergency, they've got 24/7 service. Emergency meaning you don't have any heat. Yeah. You can get in touch with DAS Mechanical. They'll be there for you. They also do new systems, homeowners, businesses for commercial maintenance, family owned and operated. That's dasmechanical.org. D as in dog, A, S as in Sam, mechanical.org. Many financing options, including 0% interest for 18 months. Schedule everything online at DAS Mechanical. Keep in mind, HVAC retrofit and service specialists will be there for you. DASmechanical.org. They are awesome. 916-779-0929. More of your messages, phone calls when we return right here on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Listen up, guys. Are you experiencing any of the following? Fatigue, less drive, poor performance? If so, you may be one of the nearly 30 million men in the U.S. today dealing with ED. But did you know you don't have to pay hundreds for a prescription anymore? And you don't have to deal with the hassle of seeing the doctor or the embarrassment of going to the pharmacy for a certain pill. Now, with one free call, you can find out how Herbal Virility Max can help you feel like a man again. For over a decade, Herbal Virility Max has helped guys just like you put a smile back on their face with improved performance and drive. Call today and ask about our buy one, get one free offer.
800-690-8445. 800-690-8445. 800-690-8445. That's 800-690-8445.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest. Uh-oh. Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome. but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
From the 916, what decent coach would come here and play for Vivek? A coach that's unemployed that wants a job. That's it. I mean, coaches need jobs. They like the multi-million-dollar contracts. So there are coaches that are currently not working that would take the job if it becomes available here in Sacramento. You know, to finish my thought on what we were just talking about last segment, here's what bothers me about the quote-unquote 6 core principles, is that Scott Perry, when he took the job, kept talking about these 6 core principles, and we hear Doug use them fairly often in his post-game press conferences. And by Scott, I guess, broadcasting his 6 core principles, it was as if, here's the way I looked at that. It's like that this was unique to Sacramento, and that this was something that this franchise was going to do because it sounds great, but yet almost every franchise and every business in the world has these principles. I guess that's what bothers me. These are principles that almost every organization has, and yet they don't broadcast them. And it bothers me in the sense that there's a reference to these too often when you don't need a reference to these things. It should be taken for granted. I, as a fan, should expect that. I'm a New York Giants fan. They've been terrible, all right? Do I expect professionalism? Yes. Do I expect all the other stuff that's on that list? I expect that as a fan. That is a given, okay? The Giants haven't talked about those principles once, and they've won 4 Super Bowls. I never heard Bill Parcells or George Young, the general manager that put that whole team together, ever talk about core principles and values. I expected that. I never heard Bill Belichick, when he was with New England, mention the 6 or 4 or 3 core principles to a successful franchise, okay? I haven't heard Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs, winning 9 straight divisional titles, come out and tell me, what their values and principles and what they need as an organization. I've already expected that. That's something that is a given as a fan of a sports franchise, okay? Like that, I guess that's what bothers me the most. It just keeps on getting jammed down our throats. Move on, would you please? We get it. We understand, all right? We understand. And the other part that's a problem with that is if you were to trade for a player, if like a John Morant or a Trae Young or others, maybe not Trae Young as much as Morant, but you could certainly make an argument. Not all 6 of those boxes are checked. So then how do you defend yourself against coming out and campaigning that this is what it's going to be like if you're a Sacramento King? You need this, and that. And then you acquire a player, and that player doesn't have this, and that. Then what? You look bad. Like, it's not needed. It's not needed. That's what bothers me about it. Agree or disagree? 916-779-0929. That's 916-779-0929. Getting questions also on who is my NFL MVP. First of all, I don't think there is an NFL MVP. Okay? I don't think you can say that Matthew Stafford had a better, more valuable this and that over a Drake May or other players. I think it is a very difficult award to hand out because normally what we are saying is who is your most valuable quarterback in the National Football League, right? Because who wins the MVP almost every single year. There's been exceptions. It's the quarterback. So maybe we should have the award, who is your most valuable quarterback, and then have your most valuable player that doesn't play quarterback. Right, Ryan? Because isn't it a quarterback almost every year? And how can you say that Matthew Stafford was more valuable or had a better year than what Drake May had in New England? And you could actually probably add another player or two to that list.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's like in boxing where you have to beat the champion. It's not box the champion to their level. So in order to have a different player other than the quarterback, but yeah, Drake May, you look at the dramatic swing versus the Rams, who have been pretty consistent, but both play at a high level. It's just been this year a parity too, Grant. You haven't had that one dominant team that you can point to.
From the 916, the 4-6 core principles are the least common denominator of a professional organization. No need to talk about them. Everybody has them. You're right. Everybody has them. And you made a good point just now about there's been no dominant team. Record-wise, you would say, well, that team was dominant, but if you watch them play, no, not dominant. Like Denver, they're the number one seed. Nobody is talking about Denver as being a dominant team. I mean, I'll tell you right now, if the Houston Texans end up playing Denver, I'm going to pick them to win unless they have a rash of injuries in the game coming up on Monday against Pittsburgh. Now, the one thing that I think is a disadvantage for Houston, if they do beat Pittsburgh, is if they end up playing Denver, Denver's got 2 weeks off, and they're going to have a short week on the road to prepare for the second week. That right there is a disadvantage. If you're playing on a Monday night, all right, that's not ideal with the game the following Sunday against the number one seed. That would be the one aspect of that game that would really favor Denver. But, I mean, it's national TV, money, billions of dollars. That's the way it is.
Yeah, it's a good point. Do you think a week off hurts Denver more than it helps them?
I don't know if it hurts them because they are relatively healthy in the areas that they need to be healthy. I think in this situation, it gives them a chance to catch their breath. So I think for Denver, it's fine. Last year, Detroit is the number one seed lost. First of all, number one seeds very often will get knocked off one conference and very rarely do you have the two number one seeds playing in the Super Bowl. So keep that in mind.
Very true.
Now, if I asked you, do you think Seattle or Denver, both number one seeds, of those two teams, who do you think's got a better chance of winning two games?
Seattle, because of the defense.
I agree with you. Now, I would also tell you Denver's got a really good defense.
They do. It's a great point. You taking Bo Nix or Sam Darnold?
Well, that's a great question in this sense. Neither of them have proven they can win in the playoffs. So Bo Nix has not really had the opportunity. I don't know what Bo Nix is going to be doing in January. We're going to learn a lot about Bo Nix this year.
Yes, you will. You almost have
But I think the maturation of Sam Darnold and what he went through this year, I think the way they beat the Rams in that game where Darnold, with under 9 minutes left, threw a terrible interception inside his 10-yard line, and we thought the game was over. And what happened? Seattle get a 3-and-out.
Yeah.
Hunt, return for the touchdown. Now all of a sudden it's a one-score game. The crowd's back into it. But you think about that. Seattle had to score 3 touchdowns at the end of the game, 2 in the last 6 minutes with 2-point conversions. And Darnold was tremendous during that stretch. He was tremendous.
Yeah, he was excellent. Got Cooper Kupp down the sideline to set up that winning touchdown. I know you're not big on home field advantages, but having the NFC run through Seattle, that's a big deal. That's a loud stadium. That affects teams, especially if they end up playing in night games. So
you see, I don't look at it that way. I don't think the noise affects road teams the way it used to be. And I think that's why you see so many road teams win now in the NFL playoffs. I don't think the home crowd is as big as you do. I'd rather be at home if I'm Seattle. But you know what? they only lost 2 games on the road this year. Actually, I take that back. They only lost 1 game on the road this year. They were a great road team.
Yeah,
they only lost 1 game on the road all year. So, like, if Seattle had to travel, I would say I'd feel very confident. Again, they won all of they were 7-1 or 8-1 on the road this year. That's here's why I don't think home field is as big as it used to be. Teams now are so good going on silent counts. You have the communication into the helmet of the quarterback. You have, again, everything. Teams are so good at running on silent counts. And as good as Seattle's crowd is, how is that any different than what I watched last night in Pittsburgh? How's that any different than, a game in January in Lambeau or Foxborough? I think the 12th man, and yes, it is very good, has really corresponded with Seattle's normally had a really good team every year. I think that Seattle has been a really tough place to play because generally speaking, the Seahawks are good every year. I think that's part of it as well.
Yeah, it's a fair point. I would say as to crowd noise, you have a lot more fans that are traveling now, and there's more fan bases that are likely to sell their tickets than others. And I think that's what can constitute what makes a crowd more impactful or not.
See, I think Denver's a better home field advantage than Seattle.
Really? Don't say
Absolutely.
the elevation. Don't.
Exactly right.
Stop.
Because they were 5,200 feet above sea level. And I think particularly at the beginning of the game, I think that always gives them an advantage. So I actually think Denver's got a better home field advantage than Seattle just because of the altitude.
We can agree that Denver and Seattle both have better home field advantages than the Niners, though. That's easy.
No question. I would totally agree with that. And both LA teams.
Both LA teams.
Right?
Las Vegas. Yep.
I mean, there's a long list of that. But I think the altitude is an issue, and I think that does help the Broncos. So, but I would say if the Denver Broncos, okay, well, let's wait and see what happens. I mean, I want to look at the matchups and see who wins this week, but I could see Denver losing next week, depending on who they're playing. I mean, just about every game they play is up for grabs with 2 minutes left.
Grant, any of these teams can lose. We've seen it this entire season. It's just been that different type of season. Now, the only thing I will say is the Rams are not an underdog. They're 9.5-point favorites in Carolina.
How about that? It is amazing. From the 916 most improved team, we could talk about that. Could be the Bears. Record-wise, it is. I don't think they're as good as their record indicates, and they certainly did not, although the Niners game went down to the last play. So, I mean, I chalked that up. They did not look good yesterday, though. I'll tell you that, in the game against the Detroit Lions. All right, we will wrap up hour number 2. When we return, 916-779-0929. Grant's Rant at 5 o'clock tomorrow. Chuck Cooperstein, the outstanding voice of the Mavericks. Sean Salisbury talking some football. We got a lot going on this week right here on Fox Sports Sacramento.
We are Fox. You've been saying you're going to pay better attention to your home's honeydews. Check one off your list right now by calling Gabrud Services to schedule a 12-point inspection of your home's electrical system. The safe rule of thumb is every 5 years for an inspection. If it's been 5 years or more, call Gabrud's now. A qualified technician will provide a thorough inspection of the electrical system to ensure it's safe or alert you to potential problems. At Gabrud's, electrical work is all we do. We are the area's recognized experts for anything electrical, and our number one priority is ensuring your home and family are safe. You've been saying you'll pay better attention to your home. Stop saying it. Make the call to Gabrud's. Talk with a real person and schedule your 12-point inspection today. Gabrud's, locally owned for more than 30 years. G-U-B-R-U-D-S.
Call the good dudes at Gabrud's, G-U-B-R-U-D-S, Gabrud's.com.
The team at Downtown Ford Sacramento wishes you a phenomenal 2026. And what better way to ring in the new year than to treat yourself to a new or pre-owned Ford car or truck? See, the new year means we got to get rid of all these 2025 vehicles to make room for the new 2026 ones. So now's the time to get a crazy deal on a 2025 Ford that is still brand new. And we've got an awesome finance team here, always ready to help you get into the vehicle you want. And look, if you've had your eye on a Ford car or truck, but you're not yet ready to get into a brand new one just yet, odds are we've got a gently used version of that same car or truck right here on site for substantially less. Once you got your Ford, our top-notch service department will keep it running like it's brand new for as long as you own it. With more than 100 years of service to Sacramento, we're downtown Ford on Howe Avenue next to the How About Arden Shopping Center. DowntownFordSacramento.com.
Hi, it's Margot from Bennett's Restaurants. Who says Mondays have to be boring? At Bennett's, Mondays are made for wine and dine. For just $65, enjoy 2 full entrees, 2 salads, and a bottle of wine. Perfect for date night or dinner with a friend. That's a complete dinner for 2 with wine. Treat yourself to our crave-worthy favorites, like our prawn linguine or short rib with mashed potatoes. Join us this Monday in Roseville, Rockland, or Sacramento. Reserve now at bennettsrestaurants.com. Make Monday the new fun day at Bennett's.
Listen up, guys. Are you experiencing any of the following? Fatigue, less drive, poor performance? If so, you may be one of the nearly 30 million men in the U.S. today dealing with ED. But did you know you don't have to pay hundreds for a prescription anymore? And you don't have to deal with the hassle of seeing the doctor or the embarrassment of going to the pharmacy for a certain pill. Now, with one free call, you can find out how Herbal Virility Max can help you feel like a man again. For over a decade, Herbal Virility Max has helped guys just like you put a smile back on their face with improved performance and drive. Call today and ask about our buy one, get one free offer.
800-690-8445. 800-690-8445. 800-690-8445. That's 800-690-8445.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Nine 916-779-0929. That's 916-779-0929. Grant's Rant coming up in the next segment. What do you think about the Raiders situation and the fact that their general manager, John Spytek, will lead all football operations, but in close collaboration with Tom Brady? The Raiders and Mark Davis, you want to talk about dysfunctional. I don't know if you would have the Kings and the picture of Vivek on there or Mark Davis. I really don't. But here's Mark Davis' statement. Moving forward, General Manager John Spytek will lead all football operations in close collaboration with Tom Brady, including the search for the club's next head coach. Together, they will guide football decisions with a shared focus on leadership, culture, and alignment with the organization's long-term vision and goals. Did Scott Perry write that, or is that Mark Davis? Together, they will guide football decisions with a shared focus on leadership, culture, and alignment with the organization's long-term vision and goals. Like, what does that mean? And why is Tom Brady still going to be with Fox, with this elevated role with the organization? Seriously. He's going to call 3 games on Fox in the postseason. I'm just wondering, do you have a problem with that? Is that an issue? Your thoughts on that? 916-779-0929. First of all, I thought this year is much better than last year, which he couldn't have been worse in his second season as an analyst. But, I just, If I'm a fan of the Raiders, I have no confidence. Like, why would I have confidence? I mean, say what you want about Tom Brady. Yeah, he was arguably the greatest quarterback of all time and everything else. Does that mean he's going to be able to put together a team with the general manager? And what happens if there's a difference of opinion? Then what happens? I don't see that working. I talk about class, right? And I talk about Tyler Loop, who missed the kick. Can you imagine what's going through his mind as he's walking onto the field knowing that every single person on that sideline that he just walked of is counting on him to give them a chance to go to a Super Bowl by making the playoffs? This was Tyler Loop after the game last night. I have so much respect as the young kicker who missed the 44-yard field goal answered every single question.
Just want to say I'm super grateful to Baltimore and the organization, the city, just how they've embraced me this year has been incredible. And just for a time like that sucks. And, I want to do better. And unfortunately, the nature of the job is, you have makes, and those are awesome. And unfortunately, you have misses. And for that to happen tonight sucks. We've been through a lot of adversity this year as a team early on, and we fought, and we worked really hard together. And, those guys have had my back, and, I want to try my best to have theirs. And, it's disappointing and it sucks, but also the nature of the job is I got to move on, and I got to get ready for the next kick. And that's next year. And, tomorrow starts training for that, and, spend the off season and the rest of the time getting ready for that. And, I love this team and I love these guys, and I wish it had ended different. I'm super blessed to be here, and it's been one of the most amazing experiences being kicker for the Ravens. And
how classy is that for a rookie kicker? He spent 7 minutes answering every single question with class and poise. Hats off to him. I think he gained a lot of respect. Hats off to him. And by the way, this same question would have been in the opposing locker room. And we haven't even talked about that angle of the story. Let's say that kick is good from 44 yards and Baltimore wins the game by 1 point. What do you think the big storyline would have been? It first and foremost would have been, did Aaron Rodgers just play his last game? That would be number one, right? We agree on that, correct? That would be number one. Is Aaron Rodgers done? Is he going to announce his retirement right after the game? Is he going to be back? Did we just see Aaron Rodgers play his last game? That would have been it. Had that kick been good last night, what we would have been talking about is very simple. The missed extra point by Chris Boswell that would have given Pittsburgh the 3-point lead with under a minute left. He would have been answering the same questions that Tyler Loop just had to answer. That's right. Chris Boswell, who I don't believe missed an extra point all year. That would have been the storyline of the game. 3 storylines would have come out of that game. Number 1 is Aaron Rodgers, done. Number 2 is Mike Tomlin moving on. And number 3, Chris Boswell, how did you miss the extra point? That's amazing how the game last night and the media attention would have surrounded the kickers. Tough. Is there a more difficult job, Rhino, in professional football than being a kicker, where the game so often comes down to the foot at the end of a game? I mean, that's how they make their money. That's what they do. But you want to talk about pressure. Is there more pressure on any position in sports than a field goal kicker in the National Football League or college for that matter?
Not in team sports.
Team sports.
Yeah, not in team sports. I think the mental preparation is just as important as the physical preparation for a kicker, because inevitably that's the moment that you're going to walk into. And think about the Ravens as well. And you made a great point about Boswell, but this is the second year in a row it comes down to a play like that. Mark Andrews dropping the 2-point conversion last year in the playoffs in Buffalo.
Well, I mean, yeah. Every year you can point at like examples of an individual, right, not able to make a routine play, like a routine catch. Now, that was not a routine kick last night. In those weather conditions, 44 yards away, that I wouldn't call that a routine kick. I just wouldn't.
Yeah, you know what? That's fair. And to your point, he had every opportunity to say, and I watched it a few times, it looked like there might have been a little bit of a slip because of the field conditions, but he didn't pin it on anything. He said the execution from the group was perfect. Just about as well handled it could have been. And the broadcasters talked about how the Ravens traveled around to actually interview their kickers because they wanted a certain mindset to replace Justin Tucker. And certainly that's why they got that kid. He just missed a kick.
I can't imagine Tucker missing that kick.
I can't imagine Tucker not on a massage table.
Well, yeah. But, I mean, if you're talking about what he did on the team and on the field, yeah. When you see that, though, and I'm not a fan of the Ravens, you're not a fan of the Ravens, when that kick's no good, don't you just go, how hard must it be for him to walk into that locker room? Seriously.
Yeah.
How hard must that be?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to reach out to Robbie Gold and see if he'll come on. I would love to talk about these aspects. Also, you made a good point. You thought that early on, particularly with the pooch kick, to try to not kick the ball into the end zone, you have a landing spot. Would that affect your mechanism on field goal attempts? You correct me if I'm wrong. You kind of made the analogy to the home run derby a little bit, didn't you?
Yeah, because it's full power. You've got the same motion every time when you kick off, so you know what to expect there, unless you're doing an onside kick or a one-off. And then with field goals, you got to do something completely different.
All right, so I'll reach out to Robbie, and then I'll see whether or not he can join me. All right, again, if you want to get in on the program, 916-779-0929. The reason why I like to have Robbie on, first of all, he's a great guy, but he's kicked in. Listen, he played in Chicago for those years, and I always, being a Giants fan, the wind that swirled around Giant Stadium in particular, more so than MetLife Stadium, the Giants used to practice in the stadium a lot, particularly in December and January, as opposed to the practice facility, to learn the swirling wind. And Phil Simms learned how to throw the ball in that stadium, which always was a big advantage, as did the punters and the kickers. So that is true home field advantage when you have weather conditions of that magnitude, and you can learn. The wind is a different animal than the cold, obviously. The wind at that stadium never went in one direction. You had to learn how the wind was different in different parts of the stadium. And the Giants were able to do that and used it to their advantage. 916-779-0929. That's 916-779-0929.
So Haunted Horse is chiming in. He says a closing pitcher. Same pressure, Grant?
Yeah, I think so. I think a closer has the pressure on them as well. I mean, you look at the World Series this year, extra innings, right? Game 7. I would equate that to being similar. And the other aspect that we don't talk about often, there's an enormous amount of pressure on the snapper and the holder. We take that for granted. You still have to make a good snap, and the holder has to put the ball down with the laces facing away from the kicker. So, I mean, there's a lot of pressure on there. He's got to catch the ball, put it down, have the laces going in the other direction. So it's not just a kicker, right? I mean, we've seen, well, I don't have to explain to you, right? take you back to Tony Romo in Dallas.
Yeah.
Dropping a hold and the fortunes of that game, right, at Seattle in a huge game. It's not just the kicker. It's the entire mechanism of the snapper, the holder, and the kicker.
I told you weird things happen in Seattle at night, but I can only speak to it from a high school perspective. I held in high school, and you have a split second to spin that ball right. And when you're at the pro level, my gosh, how quickly they snap it back.
Yeah.
Good luck.
All right, again, we've got Grant's Rant coming up in the next hour to start off hour number 3. We take your phone calls at 916-779-0929. We've got sound from Kings practice today as they get ready to take on the Dallas Mavericks tomorrow. No Keegan Murray. So the Kings will be very shorthanded on their front line because we know they still are without Sabonis. P.J. Washington is doubtful for Dallas. Kings fans will get a look again at Cooper Flagg for the second time in a span of 2 weeks. The Dallas Mavericks are in Sacktown. Again, that game tomorrow is at 8 o'clock, an 8 o'clock start. So Grant's Rant right around the corner and the third hour of the show on a busy Monday, Fox Sports Sacramento.
Call the good dudes at Gabrudes, G-U-B-R-U-D-S.
Homeowners, if you have an electrical project you need done, then you need the good dudes at Gabrudes. Family owned and operated for 30 years, Jay Gabrude and his team are the area's recognized experts for everything electrical, from the very basic like repairs, lighting upgrades, and whole house fans, to the biggies, panel replacements, EV stations, and backup generators. Gabrudes does it all and does it right the first time. They're actually the guys their competition recommends. Gabrudes, expert 5-star service and always transparent, honest prices and solutions. Say goodbye to your electrical issues. Visit Gabrudes.com or call 24/7 and speak with a real live person. Gabrudes, G-U-B-R-U-D-S.
Call the good dudes at Gabrudes, G-U-B-R-U-D-S. Gabrudes.com.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. After crushing the College Football Playoff Committee for its handling of this year's playoffs, maybe it's time to give the committee a little credit. Miami over Notre Dame was viewed as a massive leap of faith when the bracket was revealed. Now Miami is fighting for a spot in the national title game after knocking off Texas A&M and Ohio State. Ole Miss faced a similar skepticism. Many believe the Rebels should have been dropped after losing Lane Kiffin, assuming instability would catch up to them quickly. Instead, the committee held firm on Ole Miss, and now they're a win away from the title game. Did the committee get everything right? Probably not, but the competitive balance this season is evident. The playoff has delivered drama, upsets, and exciting games deep into the bracket. For all the criticism, this has been one of the more compelling college football playoffs we've seen in the last couple of years. And the committee deserves some credit. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise.
Start the year with a splash of flavor. Heartland Steakco's Reef and Beef Package combines juicy steak and fresh seafood for the ultimate celebration. With the Reef and Beef Package from Heartland Steakco, you will be feasting on Maine cold water lobster, jumbo USA sea scallops, 16-ounce USDA choice ribeye steaks, and 8-ounce filet mignon, delivered straight to your door. Don't wait long, because the Reef and Beef Package from Heartland Steakco will not be around forever. So treat yourself or pick one up as a gift for family, friends, clients, or anyone who loves that true Midwest taste. Ordering is easy at heartlandsteaksco.com. And right now, when you spend $199.99 or more, you'll get free shipping plus $26 off with promo code NEWYEAR26. Give the gift of flavor this year with Heartland Steakco. That's heartlandsteakco.com, promo code NEWYEAR26. Taste the Heartland difference.
Grant Napear is back every weekday afternoon, 3 to 6. This is Fox Sports, KSAC 890 AM Olivehurst, K284CM 104.7 FM Sacramento.
It's time for Grant's Rant.
Yeah, my first rant of 2026. Rhino?
Grant, Arthur Blank getting a lot of heat online for hugging his head coach before firing him just a couple of hours later. Do you have a problem with it? That is your first option. Second option, Draymond Green decided to yell at the referees instead of guarding his man and was ejected for the 9th time this season. 9th time already. Crazy. Last but not least, since we are about, 4 or 5 weeks out from the Super Bowl, for the love that is all good, please do not post the Super Bowl commercials online a couple days before the Super Bowl. That's what keeps our other halves, most of our other halves who don't watch football, interested in it, and it's kind of fun, too.
All right, I'm going to go with my own rant today, and it has to do with records and how they are completely out of whack. So yesterday, Myles Garrett gets a sack on Joe Burrow and breaks Michael Strahan's record for most sacks in a season. And as Strahan said on Fox in the studios in Los Angeles, yeah, but I did it on a 16-game schedule. And he's 100% correct. There needs to be an asterisk next to all records, such as rushing. Like O.J. Simpson ran for over 2,000 yards in 14 games, not 16 games, not 17 games. And that is the benchmark, okay? If you really want to be considered that guy, then do it in 14 games. If you want to break a record and you have an extra game to do it, it's like when you watch playoffs now and you get the stupid graphics, the most yards passing or the most home runs in the playoffs or the most RBI. Yeah, you know why? Because the baseball playoffs now go on forever. There are extra games. There are extra rounds. So records of most home runs in a postseason are not relevant because the postseason is longer than it's ever been. If you're going to add an extra game to the NFL, individual season records need to have an asterisk next to them, okay? That's just the reality of this situation. Yes, you have the record, but you had one more game to accomplish that record, and in some cases, 3 more games when we had the conventional 14-game season. This stuff drives me crazy, these records. It's like you keep adding games, you keep adding wild card games, extra rounds in baseball, and then you have all of these records that are supposedly the records that need to be beat. The records when you used to have a divisional round and a World Series in baseball means something, okay? Because if you won your division, you would play one team, and if you beat that team, you'd be going to the World Series. All right, now today you got games after game after game after game. You got this round. Oh, now we got to go to this round. Oh, then this round. Come on, stop it already. Yes, Myles Garrett had a tremendous year, okay? But his record was accomplished in one more game than Michael Strahan. So stop with these records, all right? Put some relevance next to them. Use some common sense here, all right? Please, stop with the nonsense. It goes on in all sports now. Stop with the stupid graphics. Put some relevance, some history to it. It's a joke. And that's my rant for today. You know, as far as Draymond Green goes, I'm tired of talking about Draymond Green. I just am. I'm just tired of talking about him. So I wouldn't have chosen that. I don't really care about the commercials. Like whether my wife watches the game or not has no relevance to me. I don't care. I'm watching a game regardless of what any family member's doing it. So it doesn't matter to me whether she's seen the commercials or not. I know a lot of people would say, yeah, you know, keep it secret, keep it under wraps. That's the only reason why some people watch the game. I get that. I'm not one of those. I don't care. Just give me the game. I'm not into all the freaking bells and whistles. Just give me the game, would you please? That's what I want. That's what I want. What was the first one? What was your first choice? I lost. I can't even remember what your
Arthur
first choice
Blank
was. Nah, you know, I don't have a problem with that. You know, he obviously knew at that point he was going to fire him. It wasn't like a decision he made 15 minutes after the game.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, is there an argument?
You know why I don't have a problem with that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you see how much Raheem Morris is going to make in the next 2 years? It comes out to $26,000 a day.
Wow.
So someone can give me a hug, too, if they want to pay me $26,000 a day for not working. You can give me a hug all you want. You can hug me all day and all night.
That's slightly below the Mike Brown pay before he took the Knicks job. Isn't there kind of an argument to be made that the guys who had the records don't want to let go of the fact that they did it a game in 1 game less, 2 games less?
Well, they should. What's wrong with that?
It kind of feels
should.
like the 72 Dolphins that are like popping their champagne when the last undefeated falls. It's like a way to say, well, I'm kind of still first place.
Well, if you were on that team, you'd be popping the champagne too. It's a source of great pride.
Probably.
No one's ever done it before. It's never been done.
I know. So, yeah, I don't have a problem with that as much. It's like a 1A kind of thing, right? A record is a record. Does that mean you're going to apply that across the board to every single record in the sport?
Yes, you should. A record is not a record. A record should have some meaning and relevance to it. If I give you an opportunity to play one more game than I had an opportunity to play, your numbers theoretically should be better than mine. But there's a reason for that.
But what about the changes of the game? Would Strahan have had those sacks in this era?
Would what?
Strahan have gotten as many sacks as he did in this era of football?
I don't know if he would have or wouldn't have, but what I would tell you is that is subjective in terms of how we think somebody would do, because we'll never know the answer to that. But if you have more chances to accomplish something, you've got a greater ability or a greater opportunity to accomplish that, correct?
Correct, but I think one extra game versus the evolution of the game, the way it's called, the athletes being bigger, stronger, faster, the trends in football, whether it's an offensive record, a defensive record, I kind of think that's a fair offset. I don't think if it was 3 games more, I'm 100% on board, but 1 game?
I don't know if that would equate to pass rushing, but in a lot of other categories it might, yes, like most yards in a season from a quarterback, most touchdown passes in a season. I mean, there's no way in the world you're going to take a quarterback that played in the era that I grew up watching football in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, turn of the century, that can match what's going on today. Like if you don't throw for 4,000 yards today, you didn't have a good season. That's how I look at it.
It's a good point.
I mean, especially the offense. And that's true in 3-point shooting too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think Reggie Miller would do if he were coming out into the league today?
Oh,
you think
my
anybody
gosh.
would ever have more 3-pointers than Reggie Miller?
Probably
including
not.
Steph Curry? Exactly. What about if Peja Stojakovic entered the NBA out of Europe and he was a rookie this year? What do you think his total would be from threes at the end of his career?
Ridiculous.
Exactly. And we can go on and on. So that part of the game is clearly a difference. Like you would actually say pre-Steph Curry era, post-Steph Curry era, if you want to really examine the evolution of 3-point shooting in the NBA.
It's a great point. Guy changed 2 positions while only playing 1.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And there are other sports. I mean, baseball, like the baseball records to me in the postseason are a joke. Like there's it's night and day from when you had the conventional, you win your division, you play for the pennant, and then you go to the World Series. It's night and day.
Yeah, and I just think baseball, from the Hall of Fame down to the way they manage records, it's awful. You have to, and I don't want to open this can of worms, but you can't just cut out a 10, 15-year period of time that was so important to your game, that brought your game back, and blackball the guys that were not technically breaking rules until it became a problem. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It just makes it really, really hard. And I think the way they do the voting, too, for the Hall of Fame in baseball is backwards. You got to be a member of the Baseball Writers Association of America, and I don't know.
I think it's a flawed system.
Yeah. Yeah. Your only way.
I think there's more controversy. I mean, I don't think there's more controversy as it relates to the Baseball Hall of Fame than any other sport.
100%.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. Well said.
Yep. All right. Again, if you want to get in on the program, it is easy to do so. 916-779-0929. Again, that's 916-779-0929. Said it would be harder to go 17-0 than 12-0. Didn't the Dolphins win the Super Bowl the year they went undefeated? Yes, and you're exactly right. That's from Garrison on our YouTube page. You're 100% correct. Okay? Going undefeated now would be a monumental accomplishment with 17 games. And Garrison said just the thought, if a team goes 17-0, I feel that would supersede the record in 12 or 14 games. You're correct. 100%. No doubt about that. So if you were able to run the table now, that would be monumental.
So what the Patriots did was
yes, and then
monumental. It's more important than what the Dolphins did, even though they won the Super Bowl.
No, I think in order to really do that, you got to go the distance and be completely undefeated in the playoffs and the Super Bowl. Okay. I think you got to go. You got to win. You've got to win the playoffs, and you have to win the Super Bowl.
I think it's really impressive when teams run that record in reverse when they don't win a game in a season. That's not easy to do.
Boy, it is not easy to do. You're exactly right. Wow. Do you think we'll ever see a team go 0-17?
It's a great question.
I don't think so.
I don't think
with the way the league is today, I don't think you could have a team go 0-17.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
916-779-0929. We almost had an NBA team go 0-82. We have them right here in Sacramento. Is this team going to win 20 games this year?
We got the question last night if they were going to win 30. That's a hard. I'm
30?
going. Yeah.
This year?
This year. I'm going hard.
Oh, come on.
Under. Yes.
Whoa. Somebody said, are the Kings going to win 30 games this year?
No, they asked the question. It was a 14-year-old. We appreciate our young viewers as well.
Yes, I do too.
They were curious about 30 games, and so Jerry and I went under. But to your question, I think the Kings are that 19 is max. I don't even think they're going to get there. What about you?
I don't think they're going to get to 20. I don't think any way they're going to get to 20. They're 8-28 right now, and their point differential is pathetically bad at minus 12. Do you know that the second team in the West is at 7.9 and they're at 12? Do you know how hard that is?
Great. Their offensive rating, 108.3, good enough for last in the NBA. Defensive rating, 119.8, 28th in the NBA.
Make them feel us, baby. Make them feel us.
That's how you get that net rating. Negative 11.5.
Wow.
Dead last, as you said.
Well, now it's 12.
Oh, it went up. Okay.
It's now 12. Went down. Wow. How about that? Lost 5 in a row, 8 of 10. They are 5-12 at home, and they're taking on a Dallas team that's 13-23, and they've lost 7 of 10. You think right now, today, and again, I understand there's still a half a season left and a little bit more. If we talk about now we're into the first week of January, today, who do you think the NBA Rookie of the Year is?
Oh. Con Knipple.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think he is too. Yep.
Sam Amick just put this out 34 minutes ago. Source says Sacramento has no interest in a Trae Young deal. For what it's worth, that has been the Kings' stance for some time now, even with rumblings about a Young for Levine swap, and I'm told it remains unchanged.
You know why? Because it's called common sense. There's no way that the Kings would want Trae Young, which makes me nervous that it would happen because it doesn't make sense. So Sam is very reliable. He's on top of everything. That does not surprise me. That does not surprise me at all. Nothing. Why would you want Trae Young? Seriously. Why do you think Atlanta doesn't want him?
Exactly. The league, I should say, is moving less and less away from that one guy that you run everything through.
Yep.
And it's moving more towards 5 guys. You've got one guy that's better than everybody else, but you've got 5 guys that can do a little bit of everything, both offensively and defensively. And most importantly, it's on the defensive end switching.
Spot on. Yep. Spot on. Hey, I want to talk to you about my friends at DAS Mechanical. Did you know that most homeowners are changing their heating and air systems from gas to all electric? Bottom line, it's about getting more energy efficiency, which will save you a lot more every month on your energy bills. Now, if your current heating system, all right, your heating and air system, 15 years or older, maybe it's time to consider a change. DAS Mechanical will be able to take care of all of your needs. And do you know that just about all of their work now is gas to electric, whole system changeouts? Nick and his team, they're experts. This is what they specialize in. And if you go this route, remember, they have 0% financing available. And remember, folks, if you have a heating emergency, no problem. They've got 24/7 availability. Award-winning, locally owned, family-owned DAS Mechanical, serving their Sacramento and Placer County neighbors for years. Just go online, dasmechanical.org, book everything right there. Check out all of their 5-star reviews and their numerous best of the best awards. That's D as in dog, A, S as in Sam, mechanical.org. Family owned and operated. That's dasmechanical.org. Come back. 916-779-0929. I want to talk 49ers next segment. They have a big mountain to climb this week. Another key defensive player out. Done for the year. Bethune, not available. How are they going to stop Philadelphia? How are they going to stop their run game? Let's talk about that next here on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Tired of the same old routine? Need a place where the beer flows and the good times roll? Then head to Fieldhouse American Sports Pub, 1833 Fulton Avenue. Family owned and operated, so you know you'll feel right at home. Catch all your favorite games on 18 big screens while enjoying amazing food. And with 28 beers on tap, you're sure to find something you love. And don't miss everyday happy hour from 3 to 7 and again from 10 till close. Looking for more than just the game? Trivia Tuesday starts at 7 p.m. And there's Mario Kart and bingo nights for even more fun, too. There's always a blast happening at Fieldhouse. Whether you're looking for a place to watch the game, grab a bite with the family, or just unwind with friends, Fieldhouse is the place to be. Fieldhouse American Sports Pub, 1833 Fulton Avenue. Bring it to the house.
If life came with a remote control, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest. Uh-oh. Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
49ers on the road this week, wild card weekend in Philadelphia. Tatum Bethune, their linebacker, out. You know what the Niners remind me of right now? They remind me of the Lions last year. And if you look at San Francisco and you look at their last two games in particular, the one thing they have not been able to do, they have not been able to get their defense off the field, right? The Bears move the ball up and down the field. The Bears' offense was pretty much unstoppable. The Niners could not get off the field. And what happened on Saturday night? And now you lose, right? That Bethune, who replaced Warner back when he broke his ankle in week 6. I mean, you're going to have Eric Kendricks, who's going to be the fourth 49er to start at middle linebacker this season. Think about this. Warner, Bethune, and Robinson. And now Kendricks. I don't like their chances here. I really don't. And I know there's a lot of rumors that if the 49ers win this week, Fred Warner would be back the following week. I think we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. I really think so. Also, starting weak side linebacker D. Winters has an ankle injury. They're back up there. Luke Gifford has a quad issue. Right? I mean, this is going to be a very difficult chore with this defense. I don't know how they're going to get off the field. I really don't. And what about Trent Williams? What about Ricky Pearsall? Are they going to be able to play? I don't like this spot. I think it's a really difficult spot. And again, I understand Philadelphia has been up and down. But going into Philly, you tell me how the 49ers defense is going to be able to get off the field. The Eagles are well rested. They didn't play anybody. They conceded the game yesterday. So they're going to be very well rested. And you can question that all you want, but that's what they did. And right now it looks pretty good for them. They were adamant about doing that. Nick Sirianni said that was going to happen. And they could have been the number 2 seed because the Lions beat the Bears. Could have happened. Sirianni was asked after the game if he regretted not playing all of his starters. No. He said, quote, "You go through your process, you make what you think is the best decision for the football team, and that's what we did. I knew that this was a possible outcome, that these things can happen." He went on and said, "One thing I could guarantee was giving them rest. I couldn't guarantee anything else. And us being healthy and going into the playoffs healthy is a big deal for us." They made an organizational decision. They stood by it. And they're getting ready to take on San Francisco. What's the key for Philadelphia? Very simple. If they can contain Christian McCaffrey and their run game, they're going to win. They're going to win the game. And I don't see how Philadelphia is not going to be able to control the clock in this game. I don't like this matchup all of a sudden. And I know that the Niners are a really good road team, and I get all of that. But at some point, you can't just continue to lose starters every week and have it not affect you. I'm looking at what happened to the Detroit Lions last year as a 1 seed. They were beat up defensively. They could not overcome that. And it was a real problem. It was a real problem. Right now, the extended forecast for Philadelphia, it's not going to be a problem. It's a good thing the game's not on Saturday, where they're expecting heavy rain. But on Sunday, currently, and again, that can change, it's Monday, a high of 47, a low of 33, and mostly cloudy. They're not expecting a real issue with the weather. Again, it's Monday. I understand that can change. But right now, it looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. So keep that in mind for the game. 916-779-0929. You know, when I look at the NFC, if you told me right now who I think has the best chance of going to the Super Bowl other than Seattle, I still think it's the Rams. Rhino, give me a team in the NFC not named Seattle that's going to be playing in the Super Bowl this year.
It's the Rams. I still
I
think
agree.
they're the most complete team.
Do you agree with me about the 49ers defense? At some point, you keep on losing these bodies. And listen, Phillip Rivers was able to move the ball up and down the field and play well against that 49ers defense. It was Brock Purdy who was sensational, and it was Purdy who was sensational against the Bears. Defensively, the Niners defense has not stopped anyone lately.
No, and Robert Saleh is doing the best that he can with what he has. And you've got to hope that the secondary can make this, or I should say the D-line should be able, or hopefully stop the run, but then you put the game in Jalen Hurts' hands and the secondary can make some plays for the Niners. There's just something about the Niners, though, Grant, and I talked to Damon about this on Friday. It's like they're playing with house money. They weren't supposed to be here after 7 games, right? And the last few years, there's been a lot of pressure to get that chip. And this year, there's really not a lot of pressure. So I wouldn't be surprised by anything that happens with them, especially with the Super Bowl being in their place.
Somebody said, yeah, but Napes, they only allowed 13 points. Yeah, did you look at the stats? The Seattle Seahawks controlled the ball for almost 38 minutes. Time of possession, 37-48 to 22-12. So they dominated time of possession, okay? They also had 23 first downs to 9 first downs for San Francisco. Third downs, think about this. They couldn't get off the field on third downs. 6 third down conversions for Seattle, only 2 for San Francisco. They allowed 361 yards of offense. The Niners had only 173. And the Niners defense allowed an average of 5.4 yards per play. You're not going to win allowing 5.4 yards a play. They dominated. Oh, and Ryan, what did we talk about? Running the football, which takes time off the clock, time of possession. The Seattle Seahawks, as a team, had 180 yards rushing.
Yeah.
If Philadelphia can do that, they're going to win the game.
Yeah, and here's the other thing. The Niners for the season were a net turnover. They were on the wrong side of net turnovers.
Yes.
They were -5. And that's really, to me, where you might be able to get some havoc if you can win the turnover game against Philadelphia. But yeah, with the numbers you laid out, it's going to be tough sledding. If we had to take away the Rams and the Seahawks from the NFC, is there anybody else that jumps off the page to you?
Without Micah Parsons, I cannot add Green Bay to that. All right. If Micah Parsons had not been hurt, I would add them to that list. But quite frankly, no, I cannot. I know Philadelphia won it last year, but I think they've been too inconsistent this year where I could see them winning 3 playoff games before they were getting back to the Super Bowl. But no, I don't see it. The Bears, no. Green Bay defensively, no. Carolina, absolutely not. No. I think it's those 2 teams. The Bears aren't ready, in my opinion. I don't see that happening.
So, okay, expand on that. They're not ready?
Yeah, they're not ready. I mean, if I'm looking at their total body of work this year, and I give them tremendous credit in how they were able to turn around their season and Caleb Williams. But if I'm looking at their recent body of work, okay, if I'm looking at their last 3 games, they beat Green Bay in overtime. They lost to San Francisco 42-38, and they lost to Detroit at home 19-16, where they did not play well. So, like, that would concern me. But if I'm looking at their wins this year, should have lost to the Giants. The Giants, like they've done this year, gift-wrapped everything to them. They won 24-20. They barely beat Cincinnati without Joe Burrow, 47-42. They beat Minnesota 19-17. They beat Pittsburgh 31-28. My point is, I don't like say that's a negative. They have won close games, and I give them credit. I just don't think, and again, they have a very good win at Philadelphia this year, 24-15. Like, that stands out to me. They only beat the Raiders by a point, 25-24. They only beat Washington by a point, 25-24. You know what the Bears are? They're like a lot of teams in the NFL. Good record, but very beatable. That's how I look at the Bears.
And that's a great breakdown of them.
But I don't say that about the Rams or Seattle.
You don't, but the rest of the field, I think you can make that argument as well. It's just really interesting. I don't know. I do think the cream's going to rise to the top between those two teams in the NFC. The AFC, to me, seems a little bit more up for grabs.
Again, the Rams should not lose to Carolina. All right, they really should not. I think the Bears-Packers game is a toss-up. I really do. I think that the Niners are going to have a very difficult time stopping Philadelphia's run game. And in the AFC, I think Houston's going to win against Pittsburgh. I really do. I don't see the Chargers going into Foxborough and beating the Patriots. And the Jaguars and the Bills are an interesting game to me. Jaguars are a better team, had a better season. They are a team that is playing as well as anybody right now. But, you know, we talk about the Bills and we talk about Josh Allen, and I think that's why those that are Bills fans are holding out hope. But, I mean, they're going to have to play an A game for 4 quarters to beat Jacksonville.
Yes, they will. And, I didn't think maybe they did. I was expecting a slingshot of momentum coming out of that last game at Highmark Stadium before they move into the new one. Yeah, they blew them out, but the starters didn't play. You expect that. I don't know. Do they feel like a team that's the opposite of the Niners, where they are not playing with house money?
Probably. You know, you talk about that game. What did you think about Josh Allen only going out for 1 snap to keep his streak going of consecutive games starting?
I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't.
All right.
We've seen other players do that. Do you?
Not really, I guess. Not really. I get it. You know, and it's at home. Give him a curtain call. Last game at the stadium. All of that. I get it.
He was ready and available. He could have played. It's a coaching. It's a coaching decision. It's not Josh Allen's decision, although we know it kind of is.
Yeah. You know, again, I'm looking at Jacksonville. Think about here's the biggest issue I have with Jacksonville. People are talking about their schedule during their win streak and how, well, gee, they didn't play anybody. Well, they did beat the Chargers 35-6, but they beat Arizona, not a good team, in overtime. They won at Tennessee, divisional game, 25-3. Beat the Colts, again, 36-19, with backup quarterback on the field.
Right.
Beat the Jets, who are the worst team in football, in my opinion, along with the Raiders. Won at Denver, which to me was their signature win, 34-20. Only beat the Colts 2 weeks ago by 6 points. And then what they did yesterday in the win against Tennessee, 41-7. So there are still those out there that think, they're not as good. They had a very soft schedule there, and they went on their win streak against really inferior teams, and they should have won those games. And there are still those out there that do not respect what Jacksonville has done. Meanwhile, if you look at Buffalo, and they ended up winning 5 of 6 games, they went into Pittsburgh and won 26-7. They really got lucky to beat Cincinnati in that game without Joe Burrow, 39-34.
Yeah.
Then their big win was when they went into Foxborough and beat the Patriots 35-31 on the 14th of this month. Then they barely won at Cleveland 3 weeks ago. They lose at home to Philly in a low-scoring game, 13-12. Like all of those before they had the day off against the Jets, 35-8. So, you know, the Bills have not exactly been a model of consistency. This is going to be an interesting game. I want to see what happens if the Jacksonville Jaguars have to play from behind in this game in the second half. That, to me, would be very interesting.
Well, they've shown that they can play from behind in the playoffs before.
Yep. Yeah. We'll see.
Look, whether it's a soft schedule or a hard schedule, anytime you run off that many games in a row headed into the playoffs, it's a good swing of momentum. So
sure it is.
I don't care about the schedule now that we're at the playoffs.
Well, I've been high on Houston here for 2 months.
You have.
I like this team. I like them. I told you to look out for this team back in October, and think about what they've done. During this win streak, they beat Jacksonville 36-29, won at Tennessee, beat Buffalo 23-19, won at Indy, beat Kansas City when they were in the thick of things, 20-10. Then a cupcake schedule against Arizona and the Raiders, they won. Went into L.A. and beat the Chargers 20-16. And then, again, beat the Colts without a quarterback 38-30. But I just look at points allowed. I keep looking at points allowed. 29, 13, 19, 16, 10, 20, 21, 16, yesterday 30. Their defense is the real deal.
Yeah.
It's a real deal.
And Damon Bruce echoed the same sentiments on Friday. He said, watch out for the Texans. That defense is nasty. So you guys are in lockstep there, and you've been calling them out for a minute. And postseasons usually come down to a big stop.
Again, when you just to put that into comparison, when you look at points allowed in the AFC, all right, just only look at points allowed. The only team in the AFC to allow fewer than 300 points, the Houston Texans. And that's the only stat that matters to me. I don't care about the other stats. That's the stat that matters to me. Points allowed. They allowed 295. Next, Denver at 311. In the NFC, points allowed. Okay? Now, this might surprise you. Off the top of your head, other than Seattle, which we already know about, who do you think had the fewest points allowed in the NFC this year?
The Rams?
Take a guess.
The Rams?
No, the Philadelphia Eagles.
Uh-huh.
Now, you could say, yeah, but, they play in the same division as the Giants and Washington. Yeah, but every team's they only allowed 325. So their defense is pretty good. Yeah. Yep. Very interesting to talk about these things. But now, as you said, Ryan, it doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter what you've done. Hey, we got everybody 0-0, and let's go. Let's go. There are going to be upsets. There are going to be upsets. There are going to be teams that you don't expect to win that win. And I'll tell you, what do we always say? We all sit here on a Monday and go, there's no way the Rams can lose to Carolina. And then we come on next Monday and go, can you believe the Rams lost to Carolina, right? That's sports.
It's sports.
Right?
Look.
Yeah, well, being a Seattle fan, when they had 7 wins and the 11-win Drew Brees New Orleans Saints came in for the first round of the playoffs, and who won?
Right? Yeah, that was the Beastquake game.
Yeah.
Was on the Richter scale, legitimately.
Yeah. Yep.
Just let's not think about 4 or 5 weeks out when we wake up without football. We've got a nice buffet set up right now for next month.
Oh my gosh. Final segment straight ahead right here on Fox Sports Sacramento, 916-779-0929. Keep the questions coming and all the messages on the various platforms. We appreciate that. We'll wrap up the show right after this.
If you're like most homeowners and can't remember the last time you had your heating system inspected, it's probably time. So right now, the Home Heating and Air Pros at Sierra Pacific Home and Comfort are offering a $79 complete heating and air system inspection. This is a very detailed inspection where Sierra Pacific's technicians go through your entire system, get it cleaned up, and then make sure it's running at peak efficiency. No need to worry about a heating system breakdown this winter. Call or visit Sierra Pacific online and schedule your $79 system inspection today. We also do complete HVAC system replacements. So if you own an older house that's due for a new heating and air system, talk to us. And if the cost of a new system seems out of reach, our finance team can work with you to help you get into a new, super efficient heating and air system this winter. Sierra Pacific Home and Comfort. SierraPacificHome.com.
Sierra Pacific Solar Heating and Air. The guys in the big red trucks.
Are your lights flickering more than a disco ball? Tired of your office coffee maker and server room fighting over that one working outlet? Call the pros who keep the juice flowing. Elite Power Inc. Elite Power Inc. is the commercial and industrial electrical contractor who takes your power and lighting seriously so you don't have to. Elite Power Inc. handles everything from rewiring ancient office buildings to installing cutting-edge control panels in factories. Their IBEW 340 electricians have more certifications than your printer has error messages. And they promise not to judge your breaker panel's creative labeling. Get plugged in with Elite Power Inc., where sparks fly, but only in a good way. Professionally trained technicians, 24-hour electrical service, maintenance, and repair. Project estimating, the knowledge and skill for any commercial or industrial need. Call 916-739-1580. That's 916-739-1580. Or go to elitepower.com.
Life is best enjoyed when you feel most energetic. Of course, as we get older, the energy part gets a little more complex, and then weird stuff can start to occur, like brain fog, low energy, not feeling motivated to do things, a loss of your libido, or ED. If you've experienced any or all of these things, it could be something as simple as your testosterone levels, and that can be safely treated. Sacramento Naturopathic Medical Center is offering a free healthy aging consultation with Dr. Dennis Godby. Dr. Godby specializes in healthy aging and is an accomplished author. And this vibrant and energetic doctor, at nearly 70 years young, has literally walked across the United States on foot to promote quality health care. So when it comes to feeling younger, it could be said that this doctor literally walks the talk. Schedule your free healthy aging consultation with Dr. Godby now at gettingbetternow.com. Gettingbetternow.com.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest. Uh-oh. Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Final segment. I want to wrap up the NFL talk about who's got the better chance. The one thing I don't like from Seattle's perspective, if the home teams win in the Green Bay-Chicago game and San Francisco-Philadelphia, which I could easily see, if the Rams were to win, that means they play at Seattle, and the Seahawks' first game would be against the Rams. And quite frankly, without knowing what would happen in the Carolina game as it relates to injuries, right now I would pick the Rams to win that game. So, you kind of get the feeling you're going to have to beat the Rams anyway if you're Seattle. But I would rather, again, maybe I'm wrong here, I'm thinking maybe your best chance is to beat them with the winner going to the Super Bowl. Could I see Green Bay beating Chicago? Listen, neither team's playing great right now. But, boy, if Chicago wins and Philadelphia wins and the Rams are able to beat Carolina, I think we all agree they will. That sets up the Rams in Seattle because the Seahawks will play the lowest remaining seed. And Chicago's a 2 and Philadelphia's a 3. Seattle can only play, or they can't play Chicago or Philadelphia in the first round. They can only play either Carolina, the Rams, the Niners, or the Packers. I think don't be surprised if it's the Rams and the Seahawks a week from Sunday. Probably not what you want to see, but maybe Rhino, you're thinking this, well, gee, you know what? If we're going to have to beat the Rams, give them to me early. I don't know how you think about it, but you're probably going to have to beat the Rams no matter what.
Yeah, I'm going to break my own rule and get a Bryce Young jersey.
Yeah, order it right now. Oh, so we've got that. So just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Any thoughts from Kings practice today that we need to go over?
Doug, just a couple of things. Keegan Murray not on the court. He's expected to be listed as out tomorrow night. Keon Ellis was out there getting some work. Domantas Sabonis was getting some work as well. And just some recaps of yesterday and what happened last night, takeaways. Doug talked about accountability, also just talked about last night.
I think there's a different pieces because, first of all, as coaches, got to make sure that we hold them to our standard. But at the same time, as being on a team, we have to hold each other accountable as well. And that's where the brotherhood and everything comes into play, that we're looking at each other in the eyes and we're like, are we doing it right now? And if we're not, we're okay with telling each other that and then executing that on the floor. And I thought that that's what happened last night. And if they do that and they're willing to do that on a consistent basis, everything else takes care of itself. The numbers you can, they're a byproduct of not doing that. Stylistically devoid of not doing that. But when it's done and it's done properly, they do it at a very high level. I mean, that is, that's a team with an MVP on it that found a game in your building, and all of a sudden that game disappeared really quickly. And it was nothing different than the energy, the effort, the intensity, the physicality, and the joy. I mean, when you watch that, there was a lot of joy in that building. But we have to create that for ourselves. We can't, you can't wait till it goes good. You got to make it go good.
By the way, just for clarity, that team that Doug Christie's talking about is the Milwaukee Bucks that came into play in 11th place in the East at 15-20. So MVP or not MVP, they're not a good team. So let's make sure we have an understanding there.
Yeah, and we're going to hear from Doug here in a second about that lineup specifically. But what I come away from with the follow-up question, or what comes to my mind, is he's talking about the brotherhood. And if you take a step back and you listen to Doug talk, you don't get the impression that he's above them. He feels like he's one of them. And Grant, you can speak to this probably better than anybody, because in the NBA, a head coach is not like a head coach in high school. You don't want to be their dads, but you certainly can't be one of them all the time. You almost need to be like the principal of the school. And, not the greatest, I can't say, but it feels like that's not the best way to earn respect.
I thought Jerry said it best on the postgame show last night that you did with him. And he said, I'd like to see Doug get on these guys a little bit more and be like a more firm and that exactly what you're referring to. I'm with you on that. I think there's some truth to that. But you are who you are. You have to be, your personality is your personality, and that's Doug's nature. That's his personality.
Yeah. And don't mistake, he cares. Like when he says he's not sleeping and he's worried, he cares. Crying at the podium, that's all real. That's not BS. That's who Doug Christie is.
Hey,
go ahead.
Can I interrupt you for a minute? I'm sorry. You're right. That is who Doug Christie is. 916. That was kind of stupid, Grant. Bucks are way better than their record. Let's be honest. No, they're not way better than their record. Okay, so let's be honest and stop with the nonsense. There's a reason why there's the thing in the NBA called standings. It reflects on how good you are or how good you not are. So let me also phrase this. If the Bucks are better than their record indicates at 16-20 now to the 916, how come their point differential is minus 2.2? No, they're not better than their record indicates. And for you to say that, and for you to say that that was kind of stupid, no, it's not kind of stupid. Okay, I'm spot on. They're 16-20 now after the win, and their point differential is minus 2.2. Okay? There's only one team in the East above them. One. They're 11th, by the way, 916. I don't know if you're aware of this. They're 11th in the East. meaning that if the playoffs were to start right now, they wouldn't even be in the play-in game.
Hold on.
There's only one team with a worse point differential, and it's the Bears. Go ahead.
Hold on,
Or the,
916. Before you pen it out into a tweet or a text, we understand Giannis has not played every game. He's been hurt. So I know that's going to be the next argument. But, yeah, they've just not been able to put it together. I did not think coming into the season Milwaukee was going to be very good. Remember when we had that conversation, you said the opposite about Phoenix, and you were exactly right. Back to Doug really quick.
Yes.
That lineup that we saw that put on the 8-minute stretch, 29-7 run, the question came up about the Kings playing small because that was a predominantly small lineup. Here's what Doug said.
It's going to be a tough one because it's like there's so many missing pieces that it's, in like last night, we found a lineup. And that's part of what it is, too, because guys are in and out and we're not quite sure. So sometimes it's searching for the lineup. And last night we found one that said, okay, we're going to do this. And we're going to sacrifice of ourselves. And it's going to be painful and it's going to hurt. But we know that this is winning basketball. So I think you'll see that. And sometimes it'll be undersized. Sometimes it'll be big, but, bigs, if we're playing big, they got to rebound the basketball. They got to sprint the floor, not run the floor, sprint the floor to flatten out the defense. Like, these are things that are non-negotiable. So, I think you're going to see a lot of different things.
Well, if it's non-negotiable, then take players out when they don't do what you want as a head coach. That's why you have a bench. Take them out and don't play them.
With you. Last but not least, Neat Clifford actually played really well last night. Looked really fresh to see him attack the rim. I've been saying he's not afraid. He goes in for some action. Here's DC on Neek's minutes last night.
I thought Neek was fantastic. There was one possession where he did not red up, meaning switch, and I was across the court, and I just and from that point on, man, every red was borderline foul, which is exactly what I want out of him. Is I want him touching people, physical, aggressive, getting downhill, trying people at the basket. Using all of his skills because he has a bunch of them, but tentativeness and second guessing yourself, that's not it. Just play free, aggressive, and let your skill set do all the talking. And he did that, and I was really pleased with him.
My follow-up question: how come he only played 19 minutes?
And why did you not leave him on the court?
Yes,
as part of the group that brought the team back and brought DeMar DeRozan in for him.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it doesn't make sense, does it? Like,
No.
what is the goal here?
Yeah.
You're playing Neat Clifford, who I thought played very well too, who wasn't on the floor with the group that got them going. It's not like he's tired. He played 19 minutes. Why is he coming out of the game?
Yeah, Jerry and I talked about this. If this continues past the trade deadline, you can get into a territory where this is a lost season in a sense where you're not getting guys experience and the ability to evaluate them against NBA talent, and you start that over again next season.
Well, again, the Kings and the Mavs tomorrow. I'm going to have on with me the voice of the Dallas Mavericks, Chuck Cooperstein, tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to that. That is coming up at 4 o'clock. Some games going on. The marquee game in the league right now has the Pistons crunching the Knicks at home with 45 seconds left to go in the third. It is 87-69. The Pistons at home beating up on the Knicks. The Celtics are pouring it on at home over the Bulls, 66-47. Raptors at the break lead the Hawks 61-49. Suns over the Rockets 38-31. The Hornets 5 better than the Thunder. Hey, I want to tell you about Village Financial Group and Spencer Grimmenstein, who I've known for 25 years. That's when he began his family-owned business. Whether it's a home equity line of credit, buying a home, selling a home. I've talked about Spence. Experience, you can trust him, and he is a specialist when it comes to financing. He is so creative, all right? Go to vfgloans.com. You can check out everything on their website, or better yet, call or text Spence at 916-805-4868. That's 916-805-4868. Hey, folks, it makes sense to call Spence at 916-805-4868. 4868. Village Financial Group, looking out for your best interest. Tomorrow, Chuck Cooperstein, the voice of the Mavs. Sean Salisbury, talk college in the NFL. Thank you so much for joining us right here. The Great Napear Show on Fox Sports Sacramento. I'm on at 7 o'clock over on YouTube. Check me out then. Bye-bye.
You've been saying you're going to pay better attention to your home's honeydews. Check one off your list right now by calling Gabrude Services to schedule a 12-point inspection of your home's electrical system. The safe rule